with the $1,000 min buy-in pretty soon as the show moves forward. So we're going to see a pretty big game here tonight, obviously. Big no-limit game. So without further ado, let's go around and introduce the table. So in seat 1 there, we have got the Live at the Bike Killer. That's what I'm calling him. He's 6 for 6. Ramsey. He crushed the table last night. He plays at all levels. Very, very aggressive style, and he bets his good hands as well as bad hands. Seat number 2 is Corey with a K. Seat 3 in the tie is Tony. Seat number 4 is Kyle. Looks like a newcomer to the show. Seat 5 is the Jesus. He's on the show. Action Jesus, Mexican poker player. Seat 6 is Homan. Seat number 7 is Mr. Hollywood, Russ. Seat number 8 is Dan. We've never seen Dan play at this level before. He's going to take a step up. Or he's played it before, but not on the show. And seat 9 is David. Now, in this game, we're going to see many different types of chips, Roger. We're going to see the yellow chips are $5 chips. The white chips are $100 chips. The purples are 25s. And if we see green ones, they're 1,000s. And the little blue chips are little $1 tokes.
Okay.
A stack of yellow, which is 20 chips, is 100. So a stack of purple would be 500. Stack of white would be 2,000. And a rack of chips is 100 chips, so whatever denomination that is. Rack
Listen,
of white
you told me there wasn't
10,000.
going to be any math when I came here tonight. This is already getting rough.
And we are going to start off the night here with the button in seat 4, Kyle. I believe the action is over there to seat 2. He's going to limp. He needs to show us his cards. Corey there in seat 2. Cut off limps.
It will be soon. It's looming. Right now,
Haven't seen the button hand yet. Well, we got some pocket 9s.
8-9 there. 8-9
8-9.
offsuit. Yep. And the cutoff has got Jack 10, so we've got a limped pot. So it's a $40 pot. Flop comes ace, 4, 8, couple of hearts. And it gets checked around. The turn is a 7. That gives Jesus a pair. Corey also has a pair. He has a better hand.
This is going to go to the bravest one. Nobody's got the ace, and they're all afraid of it.
No, Jesus is going to bet on his 7. He's going to bet 60. He has a gut shot there with his 6 in his hand.
I like his chance of taking this one.
Corey has second pair. He's going to fold. And Jesus takes it down. Now, if you're not necessarily familiar with the show, Jesus is an action player. And so Ramsey is also an action player, but and that's in seat 1. As he steps up, he tends to play it a little more conservatively. And the reason why these guys sometimes really build out a lot of chips, Roger, is because not only do they bet as bluffs or bet with some questionable hands, but they bet their good hands as well, so they're more likely to get paid off, which I always think is a great strategy for an aggressive player.
Absolutely. You've got to mix your play up.
Yeah. We saw Tuan Lee on Wednesday bet his good hands as well as his bad hands and get paid off multiple
Okay,
times.
now if my eyes aren't bad, I'm seeing pocket 10s to start with, and that's in one of the blinds, isn't it?
Yeah, pocket 10s is in seat 6, but look at seat 1, Ramsey. He's got aces, and he's going to raise it up. He makes it 35 to go. In seat 6 there, Homan in the small blind has got pocket 10s. Tony calls in between with pocket 6s. Now let's see what the small blind does here. Roger, a lot of people might re-raise in this spot. And look at this, he's going to re-raise, and he's going to be in trouble. And he puts a $1,000 chip out there, but I think he said $350. So he's re-raised to $350, and Ramsey's in great shape now.
With the 2 aces, this should be a head-up pot before long.
Let's see what Ramsey does.
Depending upon what he's got, he might just want to move in.
Well, he doesn't seem... Well, I don't think he's got a lot of chips there
He's
in
going
front
to
of
move
him.
in. He has to, I would think.
Unless he has a 1,000 chip behind.
Yeah.
No, he's a little bit short, so he's going to move all in. Yeah. And Tony is out of there, it looks like. So aces against 10s here. It's going to be about an $900 pot, I'm going to say.
How big does it have to be?
By the way, my compliments to you on your mathematics. You're always on top of
Do
this.
you want it to be smaller than 10? Good luck.
So Ramsey actually
He
only
was
has
only
three.
able to call the 350 because of what he had in front of him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
much deeper. We would have seen this hand play out different. king, 3, 5 here. No help for the
Not the
tens.
king I'm after.
Turn is a jack,
It's not the jack I'm after.
and the river is a 7.
Here you go, folks. Aces do stand up every now and then.
Yeah. And Roger, it's interesting because we always say if Ramsey was a little bit deeper, you know, Homan put in a raise there to 350. Now Tony had called in between in C3, but sometimes with aces, you know, I might not re-raise in that spot because I know Tony's a tight player and he's going to fold anyways. And you kind of play like a trap game there because you're going to be heads up, and you've got the aces, and you figure the other guy probably for jacks, queens, or kings, and you hope for a ragged board.
That is one of the plays, if you know your players, as you just mentioned, you
Yeah.
are comfortable with that. But a lot of us like to only play aces against one person.
Yeah.
Because they're tough enough to stand up even in that situation sometimes.
Of course, if you want to follow a live thread started on the internet, you can go to 2plus2.com, spelled out, click on forums, click on World Poker Tour and other televised tournaments, the official Live of the Bike thread for September 23rd. And you can also email us at live@thebike.com. And of course, I'm here with comedian Roger Rudd, excuse me.
Rod, no,
Rod,
Rod
I'm
is correct.
sorry.
You were right. That's
Roger
all right.
Rod.
No problem.
And you teach some celebrities. You've been playing poker for, what, over 20 years?
Yes,
and you
I have
give
been.
celebrities some poker lessons as well, right?
Well, there's so much action and calling for it on television and movies
Yep.
right now that players that are inexperienced in the game, they don't want to look stupid on national TV, so a lot of times they seek out somebody like me to get some kind of a feel for the game before they have to go on the film.
So they don't look like total idiots.
Yeah, like a lot of people do come when they
Yeah.
show up here, they find themselves doing that, only at least they're not on camera.
Oh, please don't remind
Have you done
me.
some of those pre-lessons for people that are going to go on Bravo, that celebrity poker show?
Yes, I've done some
Yeah.
of those, and I've done some for some fairly big name films coming out now.
Oh.
But as usual, I don't like to mention the names of the folks that are involved
Okay.
because they like to
We can respect that.
they
for
like
sure.
to keep their pride. We all know the quiet, esoteric world of poker.
The flop came here, deuce 7 king. It was limped around. Jesus has bet on second pair. He's bet $50. Dan, of course, we know him from lower limit games. He quickly mucks king 4 in the blind. He's not going to get involved. And Jesus is going to take it down.
You're right about him being aggressive.
Yeah. Now, the thing with Dan is he watches the show, and I think he has a subscription to the archives. And I'm sure he's very, very aware of how Jesus plays. And I'm not necessarily sure that Jesus watches the archives, and he's not necessarily aware of how Dan plays. So there's a couple of people, I think, that might be waiting to pick Jesus off in some spots.
Is there a waiting list on this game?
Right now there is, yeah, of course. And like I said, we're soon to
'Cause
be
we are
moving
in
the blinds up.
Serious need of a good-looking babe in this game.
I don't necessarily know if you're going to get that, but...
Take it easy.
Looks like about 80.
Yep, Homan is going to raise here. I believe, again, he's in the blind. Oh, no, he's in late position. He's going to make it 90. He's got king, queen suited. And David Solis in seat 9. He's in the big blind with ace,
With
king.
ace king,
Let's
yeah.
see what he does. He's going to call.
He's the problem.
Ace king is only a drawing hand. Sometimes it can be tough to play out of position.
He is the problem.
Now, Ramsey, he had limped in with 9-5 of diamonds.
And I don't think he wants any part of this.
Yeah, that's one of those 3-gappers there, Roger. And again, you got to watch stack size. It's a $100 raise. Ramsey only has about 700 in front of him. It really isn't enough to make
Happy
that
to
call.
have doubled up with the 2 aces.
Yeah.
He'll look for a...
So it's heads up here, David against Homan. And David has Homan dominated, but they share some of the same cards, so you wonder if everyone misses the flop, Homan might bet and take it down. And here we go, 9-8-4.
Good call. Let's see who wants it.
Ace King is going to check. Oh, look at this. Homan
Check,
checks
check.
right behind him. Oh, the turn's at 10, and now that gives Homan a gut shot and a flush draw. And now he's
Gotta
going to
bet.
bet. He bet 75 here. Kind of a small bet, and David makes the call.
I'm surprised at the call.
And the river is a heart, and Homan has made a backdoor flush. The pot's about $400 right now. Homan has a $1,000 chip over there, so he's got quite a few chips.
200.
And he's going to bet 200.
This is a please call me bet.
And look at this. I think David's going to pay him down all the way with ace king there, Roger. And king queen suited is going to take it down with the flush.
Oh, no. Flush.
And he thought he had the best hand when he showed the king-queen. He didn't even see the flush.
Yep.
He was calling them for no pair.
Homan could have picked up a jack there, a queen, or a heart. And, excuse me, he didn't have a gut shot, I'm sorry.
No, he didn't have the gut. The 8. The 8 didn't reach.
Heart or a queen there when he take him down. Yeah, I think he thought his hand was good there on the turn, so River really didn't prove anything.
No, you just got the money from him, right? I'm going to give it to him now. We're even.
Oh, now they're doing some banking.
That was a donation.
Talking about who owes what from who took what pot when.
Yeah. I didn't believe him either. To be honest with you, I didn't believe him either.
Sure you didn't, but you had a 9-5.
He brought his poker face today.
Pot looks like it's going to be limped around here.
Right, not much to work with that I can see. Garbage time.
And here comes the flop, Queen 4-7. Rainbow. And again, it's probably going to be somebody who bets here would take it down.
Picked up a straight, didn't he? Straight draw?
Yep.
I picked up a straight draw.
David there. The turn is a
not
3.
Not quite reaching that far, though.
But Homan's got 2 pair now. He's got 4s and 3s in seat 6, and he's going to bet it.
Bottom 2 pair. One of my least favorite hands, but I think it's going to be all right here.
Very vulnerable, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. As we saw last week when Kenna James flopped bottom 2 pair and ended up losing about a $25,000 pot when he got carnifited on the river to an overpair.
Which is probably one of the more common occurrences in this game. Bottom 2 is a huge money loser most of the time. For those of you that play Omaha, it's akin to flopping the nut straight.
Funny thing about Omaha is sometimes, especially when you play it high, you have to fold the nuts on the flop. Especially if it is the nut straight and you don't have flush possibilities with a set redraw. You just can't take the heat.
It just can't, and it's so unlikely to stand up.
Yeah.
Pocket 6s I'm seeing.
Yep, Jesus has got pocket 6s, and he chooses just to...
And an ace-queen. And our button is where?
Button's in seat 9.
Seat 9, gotcha.
And Homan is going to raise it with ace-queen. He makes it 40 to go.
Exactly. And I saw his cards. I can tell you what they are.
Look at the mirror next to Tony, and if somebody would peel a card up, you can see them.
Looks like the 6s and the ace-queen are going to go at it. 6s are out of position.
Well, it's Jesus. He's going to make the call, I'm sure. And Tony is in there with a suited connector, and Corey comes in with 9-10. So we have got...
a 4-wayer.
Yeah, Hollywood Russ is not in the hand.
There it is.
Here's your 3-4.
Homan the razor, he picks up top pair. But look at Jesus. He's going to bet. He's going to see where he's at with pocket 6s. And Homan's going to tell him where he's at. He's made it 100 here. Corey and Tony call. Both leave, they fold, and Jesus is going to call.
It's an interesting call.
Yeah, he's drawing real slim here.
I'm wondering what he's trying to catch.
It's about a $500 pot. The turn is a jack.
Check, check. Is that what I just saw?
Yep.
I don't believe it.
And the river is an 8.
As you like to say, he did induce a bluff there.
Well,
now
Jesus
I wouldn't bet. If he didn't bet last time, I don't understand the bet now.
Well, Jesus is checked. And he's going to bet $250, and he's going to get paid off by Jesus. And he's going to get paid off to the tunes of about a $1,000 pot right there. He checked the turn. Jesus did not bluff at it on the river. And Jesus checked the river, and Homan bet, and he took it down. It's an interesting play there, Roger.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
I guess the 2 checks in a row gave him a little bravery to bet the ace-queen on the end.
Yep.
Checked on 4, obviously wondering if there was a trap being set.
They're already giving you trouble here, Roger.
What are they saying here?
Well, you're a comedian, man. You can take the heckler. Some people should never be seen in G-Unit gear.
Now, did anybody in here order a player hater? Yes, I don't remember ordering one.
I asked you last week. Now
Just
you've
a
done
bad
tons of
poker
shows,
habit.
obviously in New York and L.A. And I never was big on going to comedy clubs, but heckling is part of the show, right? You got to have your
Huge.
comebacks ready,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah.
Absolutely. We call it gunslinging in the business.
Seat 6 is raised here with ace 10
Many
offsuit.
hands to come.
And Tony quickly mucks king queen, which we always love because king queen is an easily dominated hand.
Yes, it is.
In and out of position. It's really one of the most
Back in the days in
overvalued
Vegas, the king queen was called the sucker hand.
hands. Yeah.
I'd
You'd almost rather
put it
have like
yourself.
7, 8, or 6, 7 suited in
Something
that
that
spot.
you know where you are when you hit it or you miss it.
Right.
But the king queen, it's always a trouble hand.
Right. It's funny also, we were talking about, David and I were ragging on the Oakland A's last night because our cameraman said, "Go A's," in our ear. No one could hear it out there.
Like junior shoes
And
or-
he said, "Why are you ragging on the A's?" It's because we have the microphone and you can't
Yeah,
respond.
there
Which
you go.
I'm sure is the same thing with comedian. It's like a
That's-
heckler comes at you in the audience.
Toughed out, talk the microphone.
Yeah. Ramsey's got ace queen here. He's in the cutoff. Dan is limped in with queen 5 offsuit, it looks like. Actually, excuse me, that's David. And Ramsey's going to raise it up here.
60.
Makes it 60 to go. Again, this guy has won money every time he's been on the show. Every time.
Started up by doubling up.
Jesus is going to make a call with king 5 offsuit.
That's an interesting call.
Absolutely. How about seat 6? 6-10 offsuit. Got some action players here
I
in the
can
game.
see why he's won every time he's played. If they're going to give him that kind of action.
It's a $200 pot. Well, 10-4-9. Holman has top pair here.
If he checks it, I'm going to strangle him. You drew and you got what you want. How can you do that?
Well, maybe he's looking for the check raise.
I don't think I'd want to check raise at 10-6. I'd either want to bet it or
100.
he.
Ramsey's going to make a continuation bet here. He bets 100.
Let's see if your check raise theory is right. I don't think he can.
He calls. The turn is a 7. Now he's picked up a straight draw. Check, check. And the river is a 3.
He's going to check again?
Well, no, he's going to bet.
now he's going to bet.
Now he's going to
Okay.
bet. He bets 150. Wow, and Ramsey moves over the
Look
top
at
all
this. He looks like he set the trap.
in. Wow. $150 bet, and Ramsey's come
That's
over the
a
top
hell of a
all
play.
in with ace-queen. We've seen him do this a lot.
That is a hell of a play.
But the pot might be so big where he may call here with one pair. Let's see how much more it is. There's the 150. It looks like it's 500 more. So he'd have to call 500 more, and I believe the pot would be laying. It's 400. Let's see here, 550, 750, 1,200. It's a $1,200 pot, 500 for Homan to call, and all he has is a weak 10. Excuse me, it's 330 for him to call. I thought it was more like
In
500.
that case, he just may do it.
330 to call. It's about a $1,000 pot. 330 to call,
He just may do it.
and he does make the call,
Yeah.
and he's going to take it down. And Ramsey has finally been picked off. And I think that's one of the first times we've seen him lose one of those pots.
If
where
he
he's
had
made an
enough
aggressive
money,
move.
he could have won that putt.
Yeah,
He just
yeah.
didn't
I
have
think you're
enough.
right.
He
If he
can
had
just
$700 or
calculate.
$800 there,
He could have shoved them all in and made
Yeah.
him put all his money in.
yep, just didn't have enough.
He wasn't going to go too far with a hand he didn't want to bet on the flop.
Yeah, which obviously is the nature of this game. It's an unrestricted buy-in. But I want to say, if Ramsey wants to play like that, and I don't necessarily mind the good aggressive play, you've got to start with enough chips. So let's see how much he rebuys for.
Sure. That's a very good point.
I mean, if he wants to play that strategy, I think that he'd want to come in for
He'd
2,000
better have enough
maybe.
to where he can push some people around. You can't
Right.
push people around on a short stack and no limit.
Right. And this is not a restricted buy-in game.
No.
So,
Good to know.
All in two. I mean, if you call with 10.
As you mentioned, the pot had how much in it?
about 1,000.
About 1,000. You can't push somebody out with a 300 and some odd bet.
Yeah. If it had just been a few $100s more, I think it might have worked.
Where's our button this time?
Button's over there in seat number 3, Tony.
Thank you. So the small blind's got the ace-10. Okay.
110. 100.
And Tony has pocket queens on the button, and he makes it
Didn't see those.
100. He raises it 100, so it's 110, which is a big raise. That's 10 times the big blind. Wow. And seat 6 is going to call Roger. Wow, interesting pre-flop
With,
hand-holding criteria. He's got king
got
9
a
off
puppy
suit.
dog, and he's going to call. That's interesting.
And Russ is in there with 5-8 of clubs. And the flop comes ace, deuce, 8. So obviously an overcard to the queens. And I'm sure Tony's going to fire through here. Now I know Tony. Oh, actually he checked it. Wow. He checked the flop. The turn is a 6. I always smell fishy when someone checks with an ace up there in position when you've raised.
300.
And Hollywood Russ is going to bet 300. He's got a pair of 8s. Turn is a 6 of hearts.
Did we lose the ace?
Ace, deuce, 8 on the flop.
We lost the ace 10? Okay.
Yeah, the ace 10 was not in
Okay.
there. Yeah.
I didn't think so.
And Tony's thinking here. I mean, he's put himself in a position where he checked the flop and he's folded to a bet on the turn. That's extremely weak play there, or weak tight play.
Very.
Yeah. What I was going to say is I know Tony, if I had something that Russ had on the flop there, I might check raise Tony and see where he's at. I'm really surprised that Tony didn't bet the flop, though. He just checked it and let Russ bet and took it down. Wow.
Flag, please.
Thank you.
Button is in seat 4.
Your flag.
So Jesus is in the small blind. And
35.
Corey's going to raise it up to $35 with ace-8 of diamonds. Jesus is called with a suited connector. If diamonds come here, he's in trouble. And Holman calls. Any two, I guess, Roger.
I guess so. Whatever drives up and stops.
Yeah. Oh,
Look
wow.
at here.
Jesus has got
Flops you
trips.
dream of.
King 7-7. He's going to check it. Corey's going to bet.
100.
That's 100. Well, not very coordinated board. Jesus calls. I don't know if you can get any money out of it.
I don't see how he's going to trap somebody. There's very little he can call with there other than something that's a very big part of that flop.
Turn is a 10.
Check,
Yeah,
check, of course.
Yep.
Couldn't trap anybody with that.
River is a king. And Jesus checks again now.
Now he's checking out of fear, seeing if the weak king might have been out there. Yeah, he's
You
done.
want to win.
And Jesus takes it down. Although, I got to tell you, I mean, this is very advanced play. I think that Jesus should have bet the river as a value bet, because possibly an ace would call there. Now the problem is that
He couldn't stand a raise, though.
You got to bet with the intention, I guess, of folding to a big raise, and someone who's really advanced might raise you back just with an ace.
Exactly.
So he decided to just check it down.
I think the play there was to come over the top on the flop and just be done with it.
Look at this.
That's it.
See, now we're getting some fans of you. See, he said this guy that was just a little bashing you before says that Roger's quite a good announcer, even if I am in fact play-a-hating. So there you go.
My sincere gratitude. That's what I like. A man that can swallow up like that. You got my props, my brother.
We got a raise here by Holman with ace-jack, and I believe that Hollywood Russ has re-raised. No, it's just a smooth call, excuse me. Holman's raised it to 50, and Russ is just smooth called with queens, and we're going to see a pot 4 ways now. So Russ did not throw the re-raise in with queens.
Okay, I got lost looking at fan mail. Where's the button?
8,
Thank you.
8, 9, 10. Buttons in seat 5. Russ is going to bet here. He's got an overpair. Ramsey has an open-ended straight draw, and he's going to move all in.
And as you pointed out, he went on that short buy. So this is where it's an advantage to have a short buy, because somebody can't really get a whole lot more out of this. So you have to figure I'm playing the hand to be best right now.
No.
And, yeah, he's just going to only be able to call Russ. He doesn't have much more.
Sure.
Now the turn is a 3.
Put out a diamond.
And the river is a 10. Ramsey actually has king 7 of diamonds. We didn't have it up there. So he had a flush draw and an open-ended straight draw, and he
Okay.
did not get there.
Yeah. Oh, that's a king. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
that made more sense because I
Right.
didn't think Ramsey
No, I
was going to do
understand
that.
Are we losing Ramsey for the first time?
Well, looks like he's had it. Well, again, with his style, I really would have liked to have seen him buy in for more. And
Well, that's when you get into the drama outside of the table.
yeah.
You never know exactly what's going on with the player's bankroll.
Now, the funny thing, because we could see the cards there, king 7 of diamonds on that flop was actually a favorite over pocket queens with 2 cards to come.
Yes, it was.
Could have caught any of his straight cards. A diamond or a king was good as well. So he's just a little unlucky not to get there.
Okay, man.
Saw Kenny Berg make a similar play to that and scoop a real big pot last time I was here.
Yep.
Right. Give him brown. We're gonna turn it.
New player coming into seat number 1. It's Frank. He's
Looking at
Jesus' friend there, Roger, so you wonder. He's a Mexican poker player. That can only mean good things.
That is a wild game, folks,
Yeah.
if you haven't played it.
Pot was limped around here, and the flop comes all spades. 9, deuce, 3. Got checked around. Turns a queen. Still, no one really has a big part of this.
We have an ace-9, don't we?
We do. And the river's a 7.
Oh, my God, all spades, though. One
Homan has the 8
short
of
of
spades.
a flush.
Yep.
There it is. The 8-3. Octo Crab is the nuts. How do you
Yeah.
like it?
Yeah, the ace-9, I guess he didn't feel like betting there from
No,
up
he
front.
didn't. Pot wasn't big enough to
Got no spades,
wrestle with.
so played a little passively. Homan took it down there with the 8 of spades.
Sure.
We're gonna change the game. 1,000.
And here we go, Roger. I think we're gonna up the game now.
There we go.
He's getting chipped.
So
So we're going now to 10-20 blinds.
10-20 blinds, and it is for any new player coming in $1,000 min game.
There it is.
Are you gonna wait?
That won't hurt the game any.
Next hand, blind. Wait hand.
And I think that this hand is still 5-10. It looks like, but I think it's next
Last
hand that's
time,
going to go
okay.
up. Yeah.
And we have the Latino collection at the game now.
Of course, we're going to
This is
change
it.
up the chips now, Roger, from yellows to browns, which are $10
Okay,
chips.
getting the nickels off the
Yep.
table. Going to be a color change going on.
Yep. And again, it's going to be interesting to see how Deanne plays it over there in seed 8, because we haven't seen him play.
No, he's been pretty much a vegetable this game so far.
Yep.
Sits there any longer, we're going to have to water him.
60.
Jesus is going to raise here. He's going to make it 60 to go. He's got pocket 6s, and Homan continues to be in there with some interesting hands. He's called with deuce 5 of clubs to his immediate left. Tony has got a little suited connector. He's probably going to call, and he does. And C4's in there with king-queen suited.
4 plays.
So it's a $250 pot to the flop. Ooh, Jack 9-3. Pretty good flop for Kyle in seat 4.
Looking at 2 hearts.
He's checked it, and Jesus is going to bet.
100.
He's going to bet 100 into, again, about a $250 pot. I don't think Homan can stick around here with deuce 5.
I think he's got to go.
Let's see if Kyle makes a
Look
check
that
raise
gut
here.
shot there.
Kyle's got a flush draw, overcards, and a straight draw.
Mm-hmm.
He just makes a call. And again, he is favored against pocket 6s with 2 cards to come. And there you
it
go.
is.
There's one
That's
of his
the reason
cards.
why.
And he's checked. And Jesus checks right behind him, and the river is an 8. I think it's a time to value bet here. Pot's about, I want to say, $500.
Here comes a post oak.
He's going to bet $60 here into a $500 pot. And Jesus obviously calls. I think he probably could have got a little more than that
I
into a
think so,
$500
too.
pot. King, queen of hearts is going to take it down. Well, there's a term that some people might not be familiar with. You want to explain it a little bit? Post oak bluff?
What he faked was a post oak bluff. That's a relatively small bet into a fairly sizable pot, trying to take it. And sometimes you use it in the reverse, trying to fake like you're making a post oak bluff when you actually have a big hand.
Now, that normally happens when someone in position has checked the turn behind you.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Correct.
There you go. Now, the problem with that, if it even was a post oak bluff, is that bet, the amount that he made in relation to the pot size, really meant nothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's what
After
they used
the
to say.
check on the king,
Yeah.
it became a dubious play to
Yeah.
me.
And there's some. Takes a look at the whites there and the browns.
Here comes the color change.
Yep. Now, Stewie Unger, they always said the most, the best thing about him was he knew exactly why he was betting in the amount that he was betting. What the purpose of his bet was. He knew if he needed to get someone off the hand to risk the minimum to do that, and he knew if he was value betting how much they would call. And that's what made him one of the great players.
One of his strongest assets was his ability to read.
Yeah.
And it really probably came, in my opinion, from his origins as a gin player.
Mm-hmm. One of, they say, the best gin player in the world by far.
And he was about 18 when they said that.
And the funny thing about him, when they said that about his gin play, was that no one would play him anymore for money. It was almost like akin to the best chess player in the world. He was just not going to ever be beaten in gin.
First time I saw him in a casino was during a Slim tournament. He looked like he was about 12, and he was playing Puggy Pearson head up and 7 stud.
Yeah.
And it just was such an incongruous sight. But he was just hammering away at Puggy, who at the time was a former world champion, and they were in pretty scarce supply back then.
Yeah. Now, you've been playing this game, especially in this city, around for 20 years, so you've seen him around.
Puggy?
Puggy and Stu.
Well, that was in Reno, actually.
Oh,
that
really?
was during the Slim tournament in Reno.
Yeah.
Back in the days when there was a Sahara Hilton, which is no longer in existence.
Just obviously, it's a sad story. The end of his life, the game was kind of built around him because he almost became the fish towards the end of it.
Yeah, that's unfortunately the miracles of drugs.
Yeah.
I know we don't like to talk about it, but I've never seen anybody in my life that owes their success to the usage of drugs or alcohol.
Well, especially look at the two industries that you're in. I mean, my goodness.
My God.
Stand-up comedians.
Yeah, they're endless. Well, yeah. It'll do it to you, especially when you're on the road a lot.
Yeah.
Sure. The show's over, it's 10 o'clock. You have two options, an empty hotel room or a bar.
Yeah.
Guess which one usually wins.
Yeah. Do you know some comedians that really need to get loaded up there before they go on stage,
my God,
too?
yeah, and that's the way we look at it, is if you need one drink before a show in Idaho, how many do you need before you walk on the Tonight Show?
Yeah. I guess that's a good point. You're telling me that the comedy fans aren't big over there in Boise?
Boise is that's a fun place to play when
Really?
you're on the road, as what Bill Hicks used to call.
Do they throw potatoes at you when they're heckling you on stage?
No, they haven't done that one. I did have a guy actually have an Uzi in the crowd one night.
Really?
And everyone in the room was so comfortable with it, it frightened the hell out of me.
You mean he was carrying it around with him?
Well, they have some bizarre gun laws in the other states, and it was apparently it was a plastic Uzi, but
Oh, okay. Jeez.
nobody seemed to blink.
You guys, sorry to order when she comes back, so she doesn't have to make trips all night, because she also has service in the restaurant also.
Aquí echarnos una langostita y un filete y ya nos vamos.
So again, we're just doing the color up here, and we should start back up in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
And here we go. Buttons in seat number 8, Dan. And Dan is still in there. So again, it's going to be interesting to see. Now, I know you're probably not familiar with Dan, but doing this over the last 8 months, he usually plays the smaller game.
Now, what do you consider the smaller game to be?
200 no limit or a 300 to 500 no limit restricted
Okay.
bind games. This is the
Restricted
first time I think he's played on Live the Bike in an unrestricted bind game.
That kind of explains everything, because he looks like he's a little scared right now.
Well, he does have a he does play tight, so
Right.
we'll see. We'll see. But he is a great fan of the show, and he's a very, very nice guy. And the funny thing about this show is some of the viewers have a better memory of some of the shows than I do, and I've done pretty much all of them. But as I remember, this is the first time we have seen him in an unrestricted bind game. Someone might be able to help me out there.
50 more.
Let's hope he can book himself a good win and become a regular.
Blind is raised here with ace-4 to 50 more, and he's got 3 callers. So we've got a $200 pot here. And here comes the flop, deuce 3-9, couple of spades. Tony's got 8-9 of clubs. He's hit top pair there in seat 3.
And a gut shot to the bicycle from the button raise.
Tony's going to check.
300.
And Jesus is going to bet here with 6-7. Or excuse me, with 4-5. He's got an open-ended straight draw. A red 4-5.
Yes.
And
The gut shot's calling.
yeah, the wheel draw's
probably
gonna call.
figures if he hits the ace, is good.
Now Tony's in a tough spot here. He's got top pair. Jesus has come out firing. The guy who raised pre-flop called. Action's over to Tony with top pair. Not necessarily the flop you're looking to get with 8-9.
No, he's doing a countdown. This is a good
Yeah.
move. See what he stands to win here.
Now he might think that Jesus' bet means absolutely nothing and might want to check raise here to get seat 1 off of whatever hand he has, figuring
Correct.
he's got overcards.
He picked the right guy that might be aggressive, which is definitely Jesus.
And that's what he's going to do. He's going to check raise. There's a $300 bet on the flop, and Jesus quickly calls all in
600.
with the draw, which is not something that...
Not a high percentage play.
No, but it's not something abnormal to Jesus.
How much more did he have left?
Jesus called for a little bit less. The check raise is to 600. And look at this. Frank is going to call with the wheel draw. No one's got a spade draw. And this is unbelievable. He's got probably enough to call Tony. So we've got a $2,000 pot here. 2 players all in. Check raise there by Tony. Jesus calls all in with an open-ended straight draw. Frank calls with ace 4. Wow.
Would you have ever figured this combination of cards would have gotten this kind of action?
Yeah.
6 right here, okay? 600. There's a 10.
And I believe that Frank is all in, correct, in seat 1? Oh, he's got maybe $30 left for all intents and purposes.
Right.
And I think Tony just bet it blind there on the turn.
Sure.
Turn is a 10. Tony's still out in the lead here.
5.
And the river is a
Top
jack.
pair held up.
Oh. And I'm sure Tony didn't
Top
like those
pair held-
cards
No, he could
necessarily.
not have liked
Especially
either
the
one of them.
spade on the
But
river.
there isn't much you can like with what he flopped with
Yeah.
2 to come, unless there's another 8 or a 9.
That's a very loose call there by Frank.
It sure
Man,
was.
my goodness. Well, his ace was good. And Tony wins about a $2,000 pot. Wow. Like we say, sometimes people just give money away here at Live at the Bike, Roger.
It kind of looks like that. As a matter of fact, there's a seat open in this game.
Well, that's usually what all the guest commentators ask when they do the show for a while.
Of course, when you get out there, you don't have these little cameras here showing you what everybody has, and that really puts a big hole in your play.
Yeah.
Look at this roll, folks.
God, Mexican poker, man. Jeez.
Oh my! They call that mosca, which is Spanish for joker. Actually, I think it means fly. Mosca is a fly, and that's
It seems to be a big. I'm not really all that familiar with it, but it seems to be a big drinking game as well.
I'm not going to go too far on that one, but yeah, it's.
No, small bag.
There's been more than one bottle of Patron passed around the table at a Mexican stud game.
Yeah.
It showed up empty, worm eaten.
1,500.
And don't anybody call in and say there's no worm in Patron. It was a joke.
You ever had Patron Platinum before?
I've seen it in the bottle, but me and tequila don't do too well.
No?
There should be a warning label that says persons of the opposite sex may be less attractive than they appear when you're drinking tequila.
Did you have some bad shows in like Tijuana, Mazatlan?
Actually, it was Montebello. What do we have?
Seat 5 is raised here. Jesus with Jack 9 of spades. He's
Kojak
playing.
of diamonds. Who's got that? That's 1, 2, 3.
They're saying he's playing 500 behind, but I thought the minimum buy-in
Oh,
was
Hollywood's
1,000.
got the Kojak. Okay.
Oh, and actually, Jesus is doing a short buy for 500. So he's got
There's our
500
2 diamonds. Hollywood got the best of this one again.
behind. Yeah, he's got a flush draw. And Frank makes a call at the raise with deuce 5. Wow. And seat 1 has 1,000 behind. Check, check, and let's see if Hollywood's going to bet here with the flush draw and overcards.
900 more. Put
He's
1,000.
asking how much the players are playing behind.
You say
How much does Hollywood weigh? How much has he got here? That's each of those stacks is 200. So I'm seeing 4. He's got about 6.
He's got white
Oh,
chips
okay.
behind, too.
I
He's got at
see.
least
Okay.
1,500 there because of the
Okay.
white stack behind. He's going to bet. He bets 250. And Frank quickly calls here, Roger, with deuce 5. $250.
Wow.
Amazing. And I don't think Jesus can call with Jack 9 of spades here.
I don't think so. But then again, I would have said the same thing about Frank.
Well, Frank has a pair.
He's got
actually,
a pair, but that's not really what you call connecting on the flop.
No, he's actually,
Gonna be all
he has the best hand now, but once again, Hollywood is actually a favorite with 2 cards to come.
150.
Overcards and a flush draw.
That's you.
The bet was 250.
He figures I bought all these chips, I may as well use them.
He's made the call.
Right.
Boy, there's no change in the style of these Mexican poker
Not
players.
at
man.
all.
That's 350.
So the pot is about, I want to say, $700 now to the turn. And Russ has position on Frank. The turn is a queen. Gives Hollywood some more outs. He's picked up an open-ended
It's a
straight
gut
draw.
shot. Or it's an open then, you're right.
Yeah. And let's see if Rush continues to push.
500.
He's going to bet 500. And how do you make this call with deuce 5 now? He still has the best hand, though. Hollywood can catch a king, a jack.
I think if he were sitting where we were and he could see the cards, he probably shouldn't make it.
Hollywood could catch a king, a jack, a 9, an ace, or a diamond on the river to make his hand. Got a ton of outs. Well,
There you go.
Frank's going to muck here.
The right play, one street too late.
Yeah. I
Boy,
mean, in
do
that
I
case,
remember.
you've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 21 outs there on the river. You're only a slight dog with one card to come.
You're
And you don't
almost
have a made hand.
50-50 shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're very close to it.
Thank you.
And he tells everyone that he had king, jack of diamonds.
And a new dealer.
Yeah. So where are some of those other interesting cities you've been traveled around there? You've been to Davenport, Iowa, Rapid City, South Dakota.
I have been on what Bill Hicks used to call, the late great Bill Hicks used to call the UFO tour.
Yeah.
I go to all the cities where they always claim they see UFOs.
Roswell, you've been there? New
Yeah, I
Mexico?
did. It's a huge standing ovation. There was just nobody I recognized. They all had these glowing heads.
100.
Jesus is going to raise here to 100 with king, jack, off suit.
Yeah, it looks like it got it.
He's going to take it down. There you go.
Jesus took a couple of spankings here. He's not quite as aggressive as he was a while back.
Now, see, CW Siggy on 2+2 said, I'd say Pete Townsend and Keith Richards and Lou Reed have done pretty well on drugs. But in general, drugs are bad. And usually those rock stars end up burning out and they go sober anyways, right?
Well, here's a good question. Would you really want to look like Keith Richards? He looks like he went to give blood and forgot to say when. Think about it. You don't want to be this guy.
100.
And Lou Reed, I think he's had his blood changed 3 or 4 times trying to kick heroin. No, it's not. It's not really a good thing.
Yeah.
Pete Townsend, well, we'll get into him later. What do we got?
Got a raise by seat 5 Jesus. We can't see what he has, but Hollywood Russ is called with 7-8 suited.
Oh, look at what we got to move in. We got to move
And
in.
wow.
Moving in with the quinine, the bitter dose.
Yes, Queen 9. Going to raise all in. And Jesus has got pocket 6s again. That's what he has in seat 5. And Jesus makes the call with pocket 6s. And Frank has moved all in for 600, and Jesus makes the call with pocket 6s.
Wow.
I know we don't have it up there yet. But Jesus only has
Jesus
about-
doesn't have that much. He's
Well, he's
got
got
right
400.
around the same amount, right? Yeah. He's probably just looking to take a shot against an ace hand.
Well, it's going to be kind of a race situation here.
That's what he was
9
looking
against
for.
6s.
That's
Oh, there's the
the
queen.
queen.
And Frank is going to take it down. Wow. Now, these guys really like to, I notice with these Mexican stud players, unless Jesus goes on super tilt, he likes to buy in for the minimum and then short buy in between each time and really kind of screw the post flop play, just shove your chips in, which is a
Right.
strategy some people
Yes,
use.
it is.
So usually we'll buy in for the minimum again now and then build his stack up. You can see him go on $1,000 runs.
I think he picked up a dime this time,
Yep. Because he did a short buy last time.
so he has to.
Yep.
1,000.
There you go.
5.
Now, the short buy can be anything?
He can.
It
Yep.
can be anything,
Yep.
okay? So there's no minimum short buy.
And it's your big blind, okay?
And then after the 1,000, can he get another short buy, or is there one short buy per game?
Yes.
I think that you can continue to short buy as long as you did a full buy.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
your first
Between.
act. I didn't want because he had nothing out there. I didn't want you to.
You know, for guys that gamble it up, you know, maybe it's the best way to do it. I would never really do that, though. I just...
Can I buy 100?
Well,
really
there's a big
restricts yourself.
top-notch player named Freddie Deeb that built his bankroll way back in the days by buying the minimum amount in very, very large games.
Really? And
Yes.
really pushing in.
And then waiting his chance, shoving it all in, hoping it stood up. Sometimes he went broke on the first hand, and sometimes he doubled or tripled up and then kept on going from there. But that's how Freddie got started.
40.
40.
Party's over.
Seat 6 is going to bet 40 here. He's got 9 deuce, so he's got a pair of 9s. It was limped around. And Corey's going to make the call with 7-9, and he's out-kicked. And seat 5 is going to...
And
excuse me.
the backdoor
Yeah.
flush, too. on
Holman
Ralph
actually
into
was the
that.
one that bet. The turn is an 8 of clubs. And it gets checked around. The river's a jack. And I believe this one's going to get chopped up between Corey and Jesus if no one bets here.
125.
Well, Holman's going to take a bluff at it here, 125. He was the better on the flop. He got 2 calls. And this is really tough for Corey or Jesus to call in this spot. Corey mucks.
Okay, show.
And Jesus calls, and he's going to win it with a pair of 9s.
Threes.
So then 9-2, I like it. I will double and 20 and blackjack.
Very courageous call.
Lines, please.
So the button now is in seat 4. Limp. Seat 9. Looks like Tony's not interested in his hand.
Yep.
And Tony's actually, I think he's going to get up for a player. Tony's actually one of the hosts of the game here. And it's actually Alan, who we're familiar with.
He got very well in that one pot that we never would have figured would have gotten that big. I think that took a lot of the gamble out of him. I don't blame him. Good time to get up.
Ace, King, Deuce here. Got checked around. The turn's a king. Still no one has a hand.
50.
Someone's going to bet here. It's seat 1. Frank is going to bet. He has absolutely nothing. But no one else
It's a good
has either.
appearance board. It's a good appearance board to take it. It looks like you
Yeah.
probably will.
7 or more.
Perfect spot to bluff that you had the ace or the king.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Wins con 9-2, yo con
And so Alan's going to come in and play over Tony. And that's what that plastic cube is. And what that means is Tony's chips are going to stay there, and Alan's just going to play over him for a while. Play in his seat. There you go.
Gotten pretty high tech. It used to just be a towel.
Really?
That's what it used to be back in the days.
Whenever seat 9 leaves, I like that seat, okay? You said you're going to leave, yeah?
Well, boy, if you were around in the the card room days of Southern California or in Vegas when there used to be smoking allowed, you probably smoked
Oh, my
more
God.
cigarettes than 10 people put together.
You play a long session, you walk out with a tumor. Saw more fights over that, too. More fights and arguments over the smoking back then.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
People just not happy that other people were smoking
It
in front
just
of them?
seemed like there was some kind of karma that the non-smokers always ended up next to the smokers. You could never put them all in one spot. Then they had, for a while, they tried smoking tables and no smoking tables, and finally we've evolved into what we have now, which is hard to believe it ever was any different.
3 players.
Holman raised here with 7-5 offsuit and got called in a couple of spots. King 7-5.
Where's our button?
Button there is in seat
5.
number 5.
Okay.
And Holman has flopped bottom 2 pair. And he's going to bet it. He bets 50.
There's our bottom 2. Not really much to challenge it. This is one of those times when bottom 2 isn't too bad.
And David makes a call with ace 10. Is he going to try to set up a move? He really doesn't have a hand. Turns a deuce of diamonds.
Es house play, ¿eh?
And Homan's going to bet.
Y así le fue la otra vez.
130.
Looks like $130 here. On
I
the
don't
turn.
like this bet with bottom 2. You got to make your play here. You got away with it, but
Make it a little more, you mean?
sure.
Yeah.
You sure don't want anybody drawing any of the cards that might hurt that hand, which are many.
They call them brown chips, but they're actually red. And they're $10 chips.
So now a stack is 200 and a rack is 1,000.
That's right.
Not too much. Too much.
And of course, we are here live at the bike, the first and only webcast of Cash Poker with hole cards. Really, first and only broadcast of Cash Poker with hole cards. Going to be on television towards the end of the month, beginning of October, in England.
Tremendous.
Good old
England.
Union
I
Jack.
was just in England a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Option. Go ahead.
And this pot looks like it's limped around here. And here we go
6 players.
to the flop 6-way action. 8, 7 deuce rainbow. A couple people have 7s here, Roger. Seat 5 and seat 6. Jack 7 and 6-7.
90.
But Russ is going to come out firing. He's going to come out firing with the 6-7 and he's got deuce 4. He's got bottom pair and he comes out firing. And Frank calls with bottom pair. Wow.
my God,
What's
that's
he doing
a
in that
Mexican
hand
stud player.
anyways?
That's a Mexican stud player.
Jesus calls. And the 2-7s call. Seat 5 and seat 6.
This is looking like a limit pot.
Turn is a 9. And now Frank has
Hit
2 pair.
Oh my God.
Wow. Seat 3 is out of the hand.
Basically got out of the 5 hole there.
And he checked
He checked it.
He
How do
checked
you
the
make your
9
hand and
deuce.
check? I don't get that.
And the river is an ace of diamonds. He checked the 9 deuce. The board reads 7, 8 deuce, 9 ace. Incredible.
And it's a flush card for somebody playing the back door. Now he's going to bet it. Now that he's got a dangerous hand out there, he's going to bet it.
He checked the turn. He bets 200 here on the, or 190 on the river. And he gets called by Jesus with a 7.
He's just not buying it.
Wow.
Here comes the white blackbird.
All right, let's have a look.
Showtime.
¿Tú traes flash?
You see, he was worried. Now he's worried about the flush.
That's it.
I had
Somebody
the
would have
same
come
card.
all over the top for the rest of his checks. He might not have been able to make the
Hollywood
call.
Russ is not in the hand.
I play your card.
Sorry about that. And he would have made a backdoor flush there. So Jesus pays Frank off. How do you check the turn there with...
Boy, those two are friends, aren't they?
Wow, my goodness. 9 deuce, what are you doing in the hand pre-flop? You make a call on the flop, which is very questionable, and then you hit your hand on the turn
Then you
and
hit
you
your hand,
check.
check it. That's
Well, we see that a lot in the lower limits and no limit. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yo creí que me estaba esperando.
Wow.
A 100.
100.
Oh, there's a chip count there.
you know.
Tony's actually, let's see, is that Alan? Tony is not at the table right now. Homan's got the most who's at the table. Russ is kicking in there with over 2,000. And Frank's got a bit more than that. He's got more like 1,800 now. Wow. We got a raise there by seat 1. We can't quite see what he has. Looks like he's got ace queen and king jack offsuit. Alan has made the call in seat 3.
And hit a king.
Ace
And
king
hit an
3.
ace. The ace queen looks good.
And he checks top pair.
I cannot figure.
This
Trying
guy
to get a
loves
line
slow
on
play.
this guy's play.
And look at this. The turn's the third heart. Frank checks again. And now Alan bets 200.
All in.
And look at this. He's
just
slow playing the
pushed
ace
it all
queen when the
in.
flush card
He's
comes. He's going to
bluffing
check
the-
raise all in.
bluffing the flush.
There's your 2. All in.
He's done with it.
I mean, this guy, again, for you viewers that are familiar, he plays almost exactly like Jesus, but I think he plays a little bit weaker than Jesus because he won't bet out his good hands. Now, Jesus will commit himself. he would never be able to get away from a hand like ace-queen on that flop. But if this guy thinks that that hand is good enough to go all in after waiting for the flush card to come on the turn, it's amazing, you know?
It certainly is.
Yeah.
But he did play it for the bluff card. That was very well done.
Thinking that Allen might represent the bluff. You mean?
Sure.
That's crazy.
Time.
At least I'm assuming that's what he thought.
Yeah.
Seeing pocket tens and seat 5, is that correct?
Looks like that's 8-10 offsuit.
Okay.
Yeah, he's limped in. And Frank is going to raise it up here.
Big surprise here.
Ace-6,
Raise
he's on a
100
roll.
more.
He's in the blind there,
120.
Roger. He makes it 120 straight to go.
100 more.
And Jesus, I believe he's made the call with 10-8 offsuit. Flop comes 10-7 deuce, all diamonds. Jesus has the best hand.
I think he's going to take the play away here.
200.
And Jesus is, the guy is checked, and
Fires.
Jesus bets 200.
He fires at it, sure.
Again, the board is 10-7 deuce, all diamonds. And he's going to check fold. So these two are going heads up.
Small blind.
He bluffs all the time. All the time.
Here we go.
Oh, okay.
So ace queen.
90.
So there's a raise here to 90.
Call.
90?
Yes. Four players.
So four-way action here. 10-4 deuce, couple of hearts. David's got a flush draw over there in seat 9. Got checked around. The turn's a 6.
90.
Homan's going to bet. He bets 90 here.
He's
He
got a
doesn't-
gut shot and a flush draw.
Call.
He's got Jack-9 there. Actually, I think he's making a stone-cold bluff at it there, Roger, with the Jack-9.
He's got the 3-7 of hearts.
Homan there. He bet in seat 6.
Right, okay.
And David called him, and
Oh,
Homan
okay, now I
continues
see.
to bet.
Okay.
He made a pair there at the end. And he bets 150.
And he missed everything.
Yeah, and David missed everything.
Dead to a bluff.
And it's funny, a lot of people in Homan's spot here after bluffing the turn would check the river because they actually made something, as opposed to betting
Exactly.
now, trying to check it down the showdown, but he continues to fire. Yeah.
Why didn't you go all in blind?
Take it.
That's easy.
Don't just blind go all in.
That way there's no advantage for nobody.
Hey, here's a question for you. Did you ever play, and this is kind of an inside joke amongst the people that post on the 2+2 board, but when you were playing back here in Southern California, say 15, 20 years ago, did you ever play no-limit 5-card draw?
5-card draw poker was a wild game.
Was it a no-limit game, though, too?
I don't recall playing a lot of no limit. It was mostly limit.
Yeah.
There wasn't much no limit going on back
Yeah.
then anywhere.
Yeah.
That was a wild game, though.
There's an internet heckler, that's his game, 5-card no-limit draw. He's actually not here. He's on vacation,
Oh.
but he... that's what the people on the on the internet are
5 draw.
referring to.
Back in those days, the state of California considered that draw games were games of skill and
200
exposed
on the
card
raise.
games were games of chance.
Now Corey,
200 more.
he's raised to 200 more out of the blind. He's got pocket kings. It was limped around. How do you call here with ace-8 spades if you're Holman? But he's just been making he's any 2 cards. 200 more.
Call.
And ace-8 calls. Wow. Unbelievable.
Very aggressive call.
Again, I like 4-6 more in that spot than ace-8. You know, it's just...
At least you know where you are. Sure.
And seat 1 calls with ace-3.
Well, that does not surprise me at all anymore.
$600 pot 3 ways. Jack-5 deuce.
The Kings have got to make a move right here.
7.
I wouldn't let a...
He bets 700.
Yeah, he has
That's
to.
the size of
He
the
doesn't
pot.
want any callers here. There's too many cards to come.
And we've seen Frank make this call with a wheel draw before a few hands ago.
Not for 700. I think he's going to get this one.
No, Holman
Yeah.
can't do anything.
He can't.
I got to tell you, if I'm looking over there and Frank just shows me that he just made a $200 call with ace-3.
I'd be
It's
very
amazing.
happy to see that.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Again, now I said towards the beginning of the show, I'm saying 6-7 months ago, that normally in restricted buy-in games you can play squeaky tight and win, but usually in the unrestricted games you have to mix your play up. But that was back when we had a bunch of really, really solid players at the game. I think when you've got 3 people, Jesus, Holman, and Frank, that are playing this loose, you can play like Dan and win money eventually.
Absolutely.
Right? And
Absolutely.
you don't really need to make any moves.
Although the strategy I'm seeing that I like the most so far is Hollywood.
Yeah, mixing
Yeah.
it up a bit.
I think he's got a good combination of aggressive but tight.
70.
And Holman's going to come in for an early position raise for 70 with 8-7 offsuit. Ace-5 there for seat 9. The action's on him. And this just loosens everyone's game up. I mean, would this guy call? He hasn't really been playing many hands. He's going to call with ace-5 because he probably thinks it's the best hand now, even though that hand is of little value. Frank comes in with queen-6 suited. And here we go again.
3 players.
$210 pot to the flop. King 8-6. Holman flopped a pair.
Second pair for Holman.
100.
He's going to fire right at it.
$100. Frank's got bottom pair there. He's
That
going to
should
make the
get
call.
him. Yeah, he'll come
He's
in
gonna
with
make
that.
the call.
Sure.
Seat 9 is out of there.
He hit something. He's coming.
Turns a king.
This shouldn't change anything.
Well, let's see if Holman shuts down here. No, he's going to bet 150 here.
Now he believes it, huh?
I think some of the things that I noticed about these Mexican poker players is that we have another guy by the name of Diablo. If they hit the flop, and I don't know if I don't really know much about Mexican poker, but if they hit the flop, meaning any pair, they will almost always take one off, regardless of the bets, to try to improve their hand in some way. And I don't know
That's a
if
good
that has
observation.
something to do with the nature of Mexican poker or what, but
That's a good observation because
Yeah.
that does seem to be the style he's been playing since I've got here.
Right.
Play your
My
button.
button, I'm going to go.
Okay. We're going to go 2 big blinds on this hand.
Service.
Alan
I'll take
Alan
that.
has moved over to seat 4. Tony is back in seat 3. And we're going to get a new player, I think, in seat 9 eventually.
Why? Because we lost a player. You guys
We lost a player in 9, didn't we?
Yep. Unless he's going to get chips, I don't know.
No, he wasn't broke. He's gone.
No.
Tony, I'm playing my button, I'm moving. That's it. Are you wrong? Yeah, I'm still here. Tony, I play my button and I leave, okay? He's going to go. Yeah, he's going to go.
And I guess it's just a question of when for Dan. Is he going to pick up a hand where he can get paid off, obviously?
He hasn't really had anything drive up and stop yet
Yeah.
in defense of him.
Option.
But at some point when you've been playing that long and throwing that many hands away, you have to play something
5 players.
because you'll have a good chance to steal it
Yeah.
because of the fact you haven't played anything for so long.
Jesus is in there in seat 5. We can't see his cards. Oh, here we go. Ace-6 offsuit. King 10 deuce on the flop. No one has any of this. Pocket 5s in seat 4 is in the lead.
7. 70.
And excuse me, Hollywood Russ is Jack 10. He's got second pair, and he's going to bet 70.
Tester bet. If you came over the top, Hollywood would be gone.
I think everyone's going to fold here.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a problem. It's a good play. 70 into that size.
Thank you. Yes, one more.
That's where
Hollywood
that
Russ.
tight but aggressive style pays off. Nobody wants to challenge the fact as to whether or not he has the top pair.
So Alan is now in seat 9, playing musical chairs here.
No, it'll be in
The new player, Ed, in seat 4.
It'll be Ed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So did you play some 5-card draw back in the day? High?
I played. I didn't like low ball. I was a 5-draw
Yeah.
player. Low ball just was the closest thing you could get to rolling dice in California.
You think so?
Yeah,
Really?
it was just. It's
Single draw with the Joker, right?
a single draw with the Joker, and it was an 11 on the irritation scale.
Yeah.
It really was. But it was far more popular than draw.
Yeah.
It was the main game of the house.
It's actually still a casino here in town, one of the smaller ones that spreads that at the 15-30 level. That's their game.
Right. Those are for all the dinosaurs I
Yeah.
haven't wanted to move up.
Yeah.
Tell them to hang up and play.
God.
Are you
We're
on?
making calls there at the table.
Option?
A couple of limpers, few limpers. And we're going to see a pot here.
How are you?
5-way,
Does he have friends?
6-way action.
I heard you that a good friend of you.
Jack, 8, 8. No one has an. Actually, seat 1's got the 8. It's Frank, and I bet you he's going to slow play it,
He's
Roger.
going to check. You're right. I'm going with you on
A
this.
couple of hearts. It's a connected board.
Sure. Almost
Look at that.
almost reach. Here comes
Just
the Hollywood.
Absolutely ridiculous. And Jesus is going to bet as a bluff. He's got 10-5. He's going to bet 110. You know, one of the scenarios that can happen here is that Frank calls. He's the only one that calls. Jesus checks the turn. He could make running hearts. And that's far-fetched, but it's just something that's going to open yourself up to it.
Holman, I don't know what he was counting his chips
Yeah.
for.
Let's see,
Hollywood's
let's see
out,
if Frank
too.
check raises here. I'd really love to see him check raise.
He really should, because there's nothing he can represent other than a flush draw.
What he calls.
He calls. He's representing a flush draw, basically.
And I don't think
Or an
Jesus
overcoat draw.
is not going to fire in on the turn.
I can't see him doing it.
No. Well, the turn is an ace, and Jesus is now drawing dead. Wow, he is going to bet. Amazing. He bets 200. I'm really surprised at that. If I bet that flop and Frank calls me, I immediately put him on an 8. I really do. And he smooth calls. He still doesn't. Oh, he's got. Did he check raise
I think
here?
he checked raise. I think there's 2+2.
Okay, yeah, he check
he
raised,
took it.
and then he's going to take it down. Now, it just sometimes it drives me nuts, and I want to pull my hair out, Roger, because I love to see the players that play aggressive, and they don't necessarily have to play premium hands. They put a lot of money in pots, but they bet their good hands, and they really win huge pots because people don't give them credit. If you're going to play like this and not bet your good hands, it just drives me nuts. It drives me nuts.
Eventually, it becomes just as much of a tell as anything else you could do in a game.
Right, right. Now, that hand was not shown down, but when he check raises the turn, I think you can easily put him on an 8.
Sure.
You know, I don't
There's
even,
not much more that you could put him on other than
Yeah.
a bluff.
and I don't necessarily know if he's capable of doing
Of
that.
making
move
that
with the
kind of a
hearts.
bluff,
Yeah, yeah.
Then again, he has made some dubious plays to this point.
7-way action limped around. Here comes the flop. Ace 10-8, rainbow. A couple people have weak aces, seat 5 and seat 9.
And a couple of, I see a middle pair of the 8s.
And Jesus is going to bet 200 here. A little over the size of the pot, or 180. See what Allen does with the weak ace. He's got top pair, and he's out-kicked. But chances are this is going to be a chop pot. And actually, it is going to be a chop pot. The flop is ace 10-8 unless somebody hits 2 pair. He gets away from it. Well, actually, Jesus, I guess, could have caught a couple of kicker cards there that were less than 7, and his 7 would have played, but chances are it would have been a chop pot. And, you know, the funny thing about that was I wanted to see where the button was. Allen limped in with ace 3 under the gun there, Roger,
Right.
and it's just ace 3 off suit, and, why play the hand, too, Obviously, when you hit your ace, you don't know where you're at. If you're going to fold to when a player like Jesus bets in position, it's just...
Frank limped in with a 5-4. Jesse James up front. That's a very, very strong play.
5 players.
5-way action here. Lots of limping tonight. $100 pot. Jack 8-3. And seat 4, that's Ed. He's got bottom 2 pair. Boy, it seems like that's been happening a lot. But he's going to bet it.
90.
That's the bottom two, and I don't think anyone can call. Allen's got pocket sixes. Is he going to get involved? No.
Look at that guy over there. He holds everything. Which one? That race man over there. Which one?
Action's over there to Corey with king queen. He's going to mug.
That's it. Bottom two's been holding up tonight just to make me look bad.
Please don't
Somebody.
make him call. Every time he calls, he wins. He plays one hand every 2 hours, but he wins.
Next time.
He's a good player. You got to watch out.
He's a very good player.
Well, this guy, I mean, you ever had a fan club, Roger, before? Or anybody that might have followed your career?
A
That
few.
ever, yeah.
A few.
This guy, there's a couple people here on 2+2 that sometimes they know more about the show than I do.
They gotta be.
And give information. And this one guy who starts the thread, Kev Math on 2+2, he says he doesn't know if they're correct, but the UK Poker Channel England has the first 3 LA Poker Scene shows, which is what we're named over there,
Okay.
at the end of September. And I didn't even know that.
Fantastic.
There you go.
Live on the bike, folks.
Just-
Live at the bike is paying off.
That just goes to show you how much they tell me.
Raise.
The days that you don't.
And Homan is going to raise.
120.
He makes it 120 to go. He's got ace-9 of
100
spades.
to go.
And Frank calls with king-9 offsuit in seat 1.
He bought the button with that, didn't he?
Or is he in the big blind there?
3
He's in the
players.
big blind.
He's in the big blind? Where's the button at?
Button's in seat 8.
Seat 8, okay.
And we're going to see three-way action. Ed's in there with 6-10 offsuit. Wow, flop comes deuce 3-3, a couple of hearts.
200.
Homan's going to continue to bet. He does have the best hand here with ace-9. $200 bet. And he's going to take it down. Again, you can email us at live@thebike.com. Questions, comments, suggestions. Or you can follow the thread on 2+2 by going to 2plus2.com. In the forum section, World Poker Tour and other televised tournaments. Live at the Bike official thread for September 23rd.
Big blind, sir.
And I think Jesus has a little bit of a group because this lady has emailed us a couple times the last few times Jesus has been on the show. Marianne Jarvis says she's still waiting to meet Jesus.
Let's see the flop.
There's a lot of people waiting to meet Jesus right now.
Tell him if he has a good night, I'll give him a big kiss.
Oh, my
There you
God.
go. And this one's going to get limped around to the blinds, and they're not chopping.
I think that's a wedding band on his left hand there.
Go.
I have good hand. How can I throw it away?
So we're heads up between the blinds, deuce 5 and jack 6.
I can get something from it.
Now, sometimes people will chop and it's in the blinds, but these,
Do they allow that?
they do.
They do allow that.
In a drop game, drop
Drop
collection
game
game.
even. Okay.
Actually, I think you can even chop in a time collection game, but what's the point, really? And you know what? Looks like jack high is good here. Kings, ace,
I have fair
kings with an ace jack.
I'm not a real fan of the whole chop syndrome to begin with. It kind of dates back to some Nevada rules, and it doesn't really apply any longer. It just become traditional.
Well, I think it makes sense at the lower limits, Roger, where if you're playing like a 6-12 game, or even like in a split pot game, like for example, a 6-12 game, they're taking $4 for the drop plus 1 for the jackpot. So it's a $5 drop if you see a flop. But if you chop it, it's reduced collection. It's only $1.
Then
So,
it makes sense.
yeah.
In some clubs, they don't change the reduction. It doesn't matter.
That's,
Then it makes no sense.
no,
to
that
me.
doesn't make any sense.
So there used to be no action,
Yeah.
no rake in Nevada back when that first became traditional, and a lot of clubs here got away from that. But as you mentioned, yeah, in that situation, sure, it makes sense.
Seat 5 here, Jesus is raised to 90, king, queen offsuit. And the other Mexican poker player
Players.
makes the call with jack 9 offsuit on the button. $100 pot to the flop. Ace, ace, 6. He's going to throw a stack in there, 200. Jesus.
And Frank has hit nothing. think he's got to check out here.
I don't understand what he's saying.
Me neither. Something like 200, amigo?
There you go. Takes it down.
You see that?
Look at, I like the shirt that Jesus is wearing there.
La coraje, ¿eh?
That wasn't that long ago that he had a full rack.
No, yeah.
He's whittled away at
you'll-
that,
You'll
son.
always see.
He's whittled away some. Oh, those are white chips.
Yeah.
Okay.
Para arriba y para abajo.
This day I quit. Oh, Jesus. That's not nice.
100.
Holman's going to bring it in here for 100 with ace-9.
That's a dangerous play up front. I haven't seen what's in back of him yet.
Well, there's a call there, Roger. 10-5 offsuit in the cutoff there by Frank. So ace-9 against 10-5.
2 players.
King, king, deuce.
Oh, you're here to collect?
150.
Well, Holman hasn't seemed to be gun shy. He usually follows
Not
up with
at all.
a bet.
When
after
he
his
starts
raise.
out, he seems to follow through.
Yeah. I mean, and why not? Because you're going to bet, and if Frank calls the flop, you probably know that you're beat. He probably has a king. Although he could have a deuce, but you'd have to evaluate afterwards.
One of the older expressions, you can run over me until you run into me.
Another chip count. So Ed has bought in, and he's covered the table. He's over 5,000. Tony's got about 4,800. Holman, he's actually up there. I mean, he's kind of increased his stack up.
He's been steadily inching his way up. He's picked off a lot of smaller pots and won a couple of big ones.
Well, nothing like seeing the pocket aces, and this time it's in the small blind. Ed. And boy, you know, people like to say, well, I'm not going to over-raise with aces, but why not if you're going to get Jesus and Frank to call with inferior
Exactly.
hands? I might raise it to 250 here.
I would
You know?
certainly want to make them pay if they wanted to draw against those.
80 more for you.
It's $100 raised straight. Jesus calls with king 7. Holman's in there with 9-3 suited. He calls. Allen's going to call with 9-10.
The exact scenario you don't want. Aces against a whole bunch of players.
Frank's in there with queen 3. $600 pot. Here we go.
Not a good situation for two aces any longer.
King, queen, 8, couple of hearts.
Still in the lead.
See how much he bets. It's a $500 pot.
250.
Kind of a weak bet. He bets half the size of the pot. Now, Jesus has top pair, and this is the type of thing that he'll commit all his chips to, Roger.
Sure.
He will commit all his chips with king 7. He smooth calls it.
I'm surprised he didn't at that point with what he has
And
left.
look at this. Frank is going to call from behind with
As you said,
second
there it
pair.
is. Once he hits that pair,
Yeah.
you've called it perfectly.
Yeah.
Once he hit a piece of it, he's going to at least take one off.
It's now a $1,250 pot. Biggest hand of the night right now. Oh, man. It just keeps getting worse races. The turn is a jack. I wouldn't like it.
Not one bit.
But he's still in the lead, though. And against
But he
these two
can't
guys.
know that too comfortably unless he's one hell of a read.
How much is the bet?
Talk about 500.
$550. And Jesus quickly calls again.
This is where you say that he normally makes his laydown. He hit a piece of the flop
Yep.
and took one off.
The pot is now $2,300. Jesus is going to need to spike a king or a 7.
How much is it?
And the river is an ace, but it's a one-liner to a straight.
You had a...
Alright.
And I believe that
There
Ed
was
checked.
not enough
Jesus
left.
pushed the rest of his money in, which was
Sure.
$90.
Sure, there wasn't enough left
And again,
for him to make a play.
I
That,
mean, obviously Jesus is somewhat of a beginner to this game. If he thought his hand was good on the flop, why not put the rest of the chips
all
in?
of it right there if he
Why
was
do you
going
just
to make the
Why do
play.
you just call? I mean, you didn't have any more chips anyways, right?
Can I apologize and you come back?
He would have gotten called,
2 big blinds, please.
but you're right. That was the play to make.
Take it.
Anybody wants
Jesus is
Starbucks coffee? I'm
gonna
buying it.
I don't know if he's heading out for more money or if he's heading out.
Coffee over there? I'm buying.
You also have a big line.
You want? You want Tony? No, I just have this guy. This guy. No, I want a small.
So he's not coming back down.
So I think he's gone.
Is that cold coffee?
C9 with the ace king. Where's the button at?
Allen's got ace king in seat 9. Button's in seat 4.
4, okay.
I want a 4-shot medium Americano.
Ask him later.
Cold coffee? Like
Call by Frank. What else is new? I don't know if we've seen him fold a hand pre-flop.
He's a Latino Abe Lincoln. Never met a hand I didn't like.
Listen.
80.
$80 raise there by Ed. He's got ace jack offsuit. Allen limped in early position with ace king. And at this point, if I had all this money, I might push here, and that's what he's going to do. He doesn't have much
Sure.
money.
Sure.
Who's all in?
It looks like it might be another 300 maybe. Oh, it's a little over 400. I actually like the play, the limp re-raise there with ace king. Adds a late position raiser. You could have a better hand.
How much is it, Alan?
And if Ed makes the call, he's going to be dominated. What sometimes I like to do with ace king, I like to limp and see what happens.
Four more exactly.
And look at this. Ed just calls it like he's got a premium hand. He's got ace jack off suit. He calls it like he has aces. I mean, it's a limp re-raise by Allen.
We lost Hollywood. Yeah. This is about as good of a race situation for an ace king as you could ask for.
No, I
And
didn't.
look at this. A jack comes right off on the flop. Turns a 5. And the river's a 5. And Ed's going to win with ace jack. Wow.
Money comes to money.
Well, Ed is an action player as well.
Thank you very much. They have $10 on the button.
Just like the table we're playing right now. I was hot. I want one. 7 months in a row. He's hovering.
That's the situation there. A larger stack making a bigger raise could have maybe moved the ace jack out. But with what he had left, it didn't make sense.
You overheat.
Well,
Hopefully you overhit.
I don't think I'm going to call. Well, $80 raise, but he had, five times the amount of raise he limp re-raised. I don't want to take that hand heads up. It's very questionable.
Well, he had a couple of other possibles that could have called it, but yeah, it's not a great play. But if
Yeah.
what he wasn't afraid of is how much he stood to lose on it.
800 on mine. No, call. He just played behind.
And this time Frank has picked up a real hand. Ace king.
He just played behind.
Let's see if he slow plays it.
He just called.
Well, he's going to raise pre-flop.
He raised me.
But we'll assume that if he hits the flop, he'll slow play it.
Make it 70.
He raises to 70. The button is going to call with Jack 8 offsuit. Hollywood Russ is in there with King Queen offsuit. Again, one of my least favorite hands out of position. Dan's got King. Actually, Dan's
got the king queen. He's finally in. He's finally
Excuse
found
me.
something to play, and it's not a great
Yeah,
situation.
that's a hand. Well, maybe he's playing the player, but I really don't want to be in there with that. We're just going to see what happens. If he hits a king, he's in big trouble. Well, there's 3 kings dead right now, so 10-8-3. Holman has the
Holman
best
got
hand.
the best of the flop.
Yeah, you go back. I think if you pay $15, you can check out all the
Checked around.
Well, Holman's going to bet it. I like the bet. He's on the button. He's got a piece of it.
Just one now?
Yeah, just for this game. Just say you want it, right? You want to see this game?
He bets 150 into a $350 pot. Again, kind of a weak bet.
I thought it was one.
Pot's now 500. Let's see if Frank peels.
He didn't hit anything here, but he's going to peel, it looks like.
Yep. Pot is now 650. Turns a 6. Now let's see if the Jack 8 really puts him to the test. And I'd bet big here. He's going to bet $250 into a $650 pot. So it's now an $900 pot, $250 to call. He's getting about 3.5 to 1 on his money.
5 or 10 minutes away.
But he's going to muck. And Holman's going to take it down.
Yeah.
cell phone, talking back and forth.
One night I told my wife that I'm going, I don't know, somewhere. Didn't tell her that I'm coming here. And my son had the internet up and was watching the game. And I went home and she says, oh, so you were in a meeting tonight, huh?
In a meeting, yeah. It was nine people. We were 9 people in the meeting.
It was a big meeting.
Trying to listen to Ed talk, and I think what he said there, Roger, was that he told his son he was going somewhere else, and his son popped into the show and saw him on the show. Oh, I think he had told his wife, and his son caught him on the show.
It's a pretty easy way to get a buy-in out of Dad.
The pot was limped around here 5 ways. Ace, queen, 9.
Check.
Corey limped in with ace jack,
Jack,
and he's hit
yeah.
top pair. That's 100. Ooh, and Homan's
Homan's
got
got that
bottom
9.
2 pair, and he just calls. He's got queen 9, bottom 2 pair, and he just smooth calls.
Now here's our bottom 2.
And there it goes. The turn's a jack. Now Corey has 2 pair. He bets 300. But does Homan just not know where he's at right now? He calls. Makes the call. Let's see the river. The river is an 8, one-liner to a straight again.
Bet 500.
And ace-jack checks, and Homan quickly bets 500. And queen 9 is no good. Corey's going to take down about a $2,000 pot right there. There you go. No,
He thinks he got beat by the straight card.
Yeah, but it wasn't that.
He was beat on the turn. Which is exactly why the turn should have probably raised.
Again, this is pretty deep, but if you examine that board, that guy bet into you, and he's been playing tight. He probably has an ace, and he's limped in.
Sure.
I think if I had queen 9 and I played it there, I probably would have checked the river, because the only thing that you really can beat there is maybe like ace 5, ace 6, ace 7 suited. You can't beat anything else. You can't beat ace 10.
No.
You can't beat 2 pair. And obviously he bet and he got called and he was beaten. And again, is someone with ace rag going to call you when you bet on the river?
How could they?
Probably not. So you're betting with little equity, right? On the river.
Absolutely none.
Yeah.
Primos, they're trying to fix
Thank
the
you.
lip,
Pot is limped around here. Queen, jack, deuce.
Bet 50.
Alan and Frank both have top pair. $50 bet. Alan check calls. Turn is a king.
Bet 50.
Another $50 bet. Alan calls again. And if we see a 3 or a 5 here, Frank's going to win. No, it's an ace.
He plays it out. We got a split.
Yep. Gets checked down.
Check down. We got a splitter.
Yep. New player coming in at seat 5. It's Ben.
What do we know about Ben?
Small blind, big blind. So you're going to
Well, Ben, I don't know if he's ever
I was
been on
gonna
the show
say.
before. He looks like a young
He's
guy.
brand new. Wearing a San Francisco T-shirt. Young, fresh-faced young man.
Boy, those people from Northern California, they're cocky when it comes to saying that it's better than Southern California. Met a couple
This state,
of them.
you could divide it in half with the
This
attitudes.
guy.
Some would prefer that you did.
Of course, if our own
Is
Isaac
he aware
is
of the
from
fact that he now resides in the 323 area,
Of course, Isaac is from the Bay Area.
the Bay Area? Well, actually, I was too, so we'll leave him alone.
Limped around here again. King 8-8 on the flop. It gets checked around. Looks like Allen's hand is good right now. The turn is a 6. Checked around again. River's a 3. Allen's hand is good. Table suddenly turned pretty passive.
Yeah, it's gotten very passive.
Yeah.
Well, once Jesus left, that made a difference, and Frank has slowed down quite a bit too.
And again, getting back to any time I would have a premium hand in this game, especially if it was a big pair, I would raise because it's more of a value raise. I mean, I know you say you like to thin the field with aces, but I'm raising. I mean, obviously you want to cut the field down some, but I'm raising because Frank's going to call me with King 9 for $300 or $400 pre-flop. You know, and my aces are just so much better.
He is from San Francisco.
Yeah, that's why he's wearing the shirt, I guess. Yeah, Ben, seat 5. We'll have to go knock some sense into him.
Let's ask him if he likes the Niners against the Cowboys this week.
Oh, boy. What's the line in that game?
Probably off the board. Oh, we might have some gambling talk here in the control room.
4 players.
A lot of kings out. Kings are almost dead. Look at this.
2 people hit a pair.
The baby king got there.
Check.
Gets checked around. Jack on the turn.
It's on you, sir.
This is looking like another slow pot.
Check. Bet 50.
Holman's going to bet as a bluff here.
Sir, thanks for it.
So Tony's real tight. I wouldn't be surprised if he mucks here. Obviously, I mean, it's not a lot he can beat.
10.
You can see he wants to muck already.
Surprised Frank threw that one out, but then again, he would have had to make his play on the flop. Frank has slowed down quite a bit too. That big stack isn't there anymore.
Again, we want to welcome everyone to Live at the Bike. If this is the first time you were watching, I see some new posts up on 2+2. This is the first and only webcast of Cash Poker. First and only broadcast of Cash Poker with hole cards. With hole cards. So, very, very interesting. Obviously, you only see tournaments, and the style is much, much different, Roger, than in a cash
Night
game.
and day.
Yeah.
Live game in a tournament.
And, of course, we've seen
Everything.
tournament players come on the show and kind of crash and burn.
Sure.
You know, there's quite a bit of people that follow around the WPT just for the side games because they can pick off the people that are steaming after a tournament loss.
Absolutely. Or the ones that only have a strong tournament game and don't do well in live games.
Right.
There's lots of both.
We're going to see limped around 6-way action here. Ace 8-3, couple of hearts.
We haven't seen a good connection in some time.
Well, Russ has got a flush draw. He's going to bet it.
Bet 100.
And as infrequently as he's played, he's going to get a lot of respect with this bet.
No one really, like you said, no one really connected here, so probably going to be a fold.
Okay.
Unless
I don't
Ed
think
wants
you'll
to
see
call with
anybody
second
trying to
pair.
play at him.
No, Ed's going to call with second pair. King 8.
Heads up.
We are heads up here. The turn is a queen.
Yeah,
Hollywood
it is.
Russ has made the flush. And it goes check, check.
Check.
Wow.
He's trying to get a bluff out of
And
it.
the river is an ace. And now Hollywood is going to bet. Personally,
Bet 140.
I don't like the play. I mean, why would you want to check?
When you
He's
made
not-
your hand, and,
Yeah.
and another heart cripples your hand.
Exactly. I mean, not only do you not know if your hand is good, but if the other guy doesn't have a heart, you're not going to make any money,
Sure.
obviously.
Good point.
I mean, I would continue to fire there, hope the guy has a weak ace, get paid off.
We'll pretend
Because
you
you
had
would
the
on the end when the other race came.
I said, we'll pretend you had the ace.
You take big blind.
Sometimes Russ does some things that I'm not a huge fan of. But I guess we all can't be perfect, especially by my standards, Roger.
That's the Southern California standards,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Remember, Russ, you can't lie in this game. I'll check it out tomorrow. Oh, 10 heck.
Well, there's Alan limping in with ace rag, ace 3
Never occurred
off
to me
suit.
that could be possible.
You raise.
And Holman is going to raise with acey deucey suited.
Point blank.
He's played a pretty aggressive game
Bet
tonight.
190.
Yes, he has.
Total
Well, he's won some checks.
Makes it 190 total.
Okay, we'll make it 192.
And look at this. Ed's going to call out of position with King Jack. Again, a hand where you just don't know. Don't know where you're at.
What's up?
Trouble hand. Trap hand. And here we go with the flop.
Red Bull and coffee will give me enough.
355.
Enough.
Owen has a wheel draw.
I checked you, sir.
Check. Bet 150.
Gonna bet 150, Holman.
Or maybe he's getting ready.
What can Ed call with? A pair draw.
It's a prerequisite. Yeah.
Don't tell me. He does call. He's looking for a pair.
I mean, he's behind against any ace high here.
Sure, and he's out of position if he does make something.
Yeah. And there's the wheel. And Ed might get involved because he's got the king of diamonds.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a $200 bet here. And again, I might have pushed a little bit harder
I think
here.
I would have too,
Yeah.
with that diamond out there.
And the river is a 10. And Holman has the wheel.
Now the hands are going to play themselves.
Bet 600.
He's going to bet 600 here on
That
the
would have
river.
been a much better bet one street ago, my friend. Now you can't get paid off. And he might have paid with that king of diamonds.
I think there might be a couple of reasons why you bet the turn. You hope the guy might be sandbagging the 5 as well.
Sure.
I mean, that would be huge.
He
$600
can't be thinking
bet.
about coming over the top. He doesn't have enough to run him off the pot.
And how do you call? I mean, again, you lose to
This
any
is-
ace high. I mean, the sense that I get from Ed is he really wants to call because he doesn't think the guy has anything, but he,
How are you going
he
to call with a
can't
king
beat
high?
nothing.
Yeah, he can't beat a thing.
Right,
exactly.
right. He can't beat the nothing that, say, ace jack would be. If he had ace jack, he might call.
Holman, you're
You know.
$400 short in that pot that you should have bet on 4.
Yeah.
That's $600
And again,
bet.
I'm not butchering the English language.
You think if I had
He
a bet,
can't
I'm gonna
beat
let him
nothing
get away with
that the other player
$600?
has,
Right.
which is what he thought the other player had. Nothing.
That's not a butchering. It makes sense in this scenario.
Yeah. Nothing as a noun there, as opposed to an adjective.
All right, first you threw the math at me. Now it's the diagram and the sentences. I'm having high school flashbacks, and I didn't even go.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in the Bay Area. Did you hear that?
Oh, really?
How much you paid?
Here we go with another chip count.
How much you paid the second time?
Ed there. He's probably down a little bit after that hand. He's under 5,000.
Not yet.
And Holman, he won again. He's over probably 4,000 now. Holman looks like our big winner
So
tonight.
far, he is.
And he hasn't, the thing with him is that his pre-flop hand selection has been somewhat questionable, in position and out of position, but he's aggressive. And we haven't seen him really hit a huge hand, but I want to say that he probably would bet his big hand. And if he doesn't, I want to go out there and kill him. But
Right,
if
I
he
understand.
bets his good hands, then his style
Because
is
of his
consistent.
style, he should get
Yeah.
he should get paid off
Right.
more times than not because he has been playing aggressively.
Right.
He hasn't been afraid to splash around.
Small blind, you big one. Too small.
Thank you, sir.
Too big blind. Big blind, too big blind.
Look at this. Marianne Jarvis said, "Are you serious that Jesus is married? Does he have a wedding band?" I don't know. Was it you that said that?
I
Roger?
thought I saw a wedding band
I
on his
don't
left
think-
hand.
is
There is a ring on his left
Oh,
ring finger.
Jesus! Is he married? I don't know. I've
I
never
thought
seen.
I saw
don't
one.
think
Okay,
he
you know
is.
what? I was referring to Frank.
Oh, okay.
I was referring to Frank. My
So
mistake.
there you go, Marianne. You're still in
You're
luck.
still in the game,
Yeah,
Marianne. I gave you some bad information, Marianne. Don't worry. There still might be a love connection.
Yeah, new player, you have a post. That's why I asked you.
Yeah, I was looking at Frank's hand.
Pot is limped around here.
Puppy toes all over.
All clubs.
And all I see is a 10.
Turn is an ace.
Jack.
Dan had top pair there. He didn't bet. He's going to check it again. Checked around. And the river is now a 10. And Dan still has the best hand. Jack is good.
Yeah, there's not enough in there.
And again,
for
we
him
just
to play
haven't
at.
seen Dan have a hand yet to play, really. He's played it pretty ABC. He probably would be playing in this style I'd be playing if I was at this table, although the table is
Right.
changing, it looks like, a little bit now. But just hasn't really gotten a lot to play.
Card's been running a little bit salty the last few minutes. There hasn't been a whole lot of anything up.
So small blind on the button. Hollywood Russ in the small blind. Big blind's over there in seat 1.
Not yet.
He comes in with the 10-4 diamonds. San Francisco's going to get in the game. What's he got?
Raise. 40 more.
He's going to raise with 4-8 offsuit. Wow.
That's the one he was waiting for.
And look at Holman. He's going to re-raise to 270 with King Jack offsuit. Wow. Seat 1's got 10-4 of diamonds in the big line.
Going to put our new player right to the test.
Well,
Got a
I
four
don't think this
capper.
is much of a tester.
I don't know how he came in with that.
Yeah. Trying to
I
make
guess
it up a
he
little
figured that because he hadn't played a hand yet, he was going to get a little more respect than he ended up with.
They don't scan the cards on the scan, right? They should. They don't play, I don't think. They should.
Yeah, they come. They come.
Hollywood's in a good position. He's in back of the most aggressive player in the game at this point.
Right to his left, right? Yeah.
Tony, you gonna play another hand tonight, or was that it?
No, here was it.
Oh my God! Under the gun too.
Yeah.
Tony's got pocket 9s under the gun and he limps. They were making fun of how tight he was.
Just one moment ago, and it looks like, okay, take this. Sweat the 2 9s.
Limp.
Yes, on your feet. Yes.
Actually got a lot of Broadway cards here. Corey checks out of the blind with ace-jack suited. Here we go to the flop. Queen 4-4. Russ has got
Hollywood
king,
with
queen.
the sucker hand. It's top pair.
He's going to bet here.
Bet 60.
Tony is subject to play with him. Nope. Surprised at that.
But now is in seat number 1.
First one is good.
You throw it right there.
Oh,
Right on the
good.
spot.
Wow.
We're going to see a classic matchup here in a moment.
Yeah, you did it this time.
Oh, then.
Russ is going to bring it in for a raise here.
Raise to 100 because
Makes it 100 to go.
King Jack of
suited.
diamonds.
make it
Corey has the
85.
same hand again. 2 hands back-to-back. Ace-jack of hearts.
He's going to find him, too.
100.
Frank is going to make the call with 7-4 of diamonds.
That's a button call, pure and simple.
Oh, it's Frank.
It's a Mexican stud call, I
Yeah.
guess.
And look at that. Corey mucks the ace-jack
He
suited.
mucked the
Yeah.
ace-jack suited.
Pretty tight.
That is very snug.
And Frank's flopped the best hand here. 7-6-6. I don't think he's going to go anywhere.
No, he's not going to lose, Frank. He might even find himself getting raised.
150.
$150 bet.
I don't know how many white chips he has. About 3? About 1,500? So he's going to
Well,
call
Frank
here.
has got, Frank's only got maybe 200 or 300 left, I
I think I
think.
would want to either raise or throw this one out. Okay.
Third spade on the turn. Check, looks like. Oh, no.
Yeah, he's going to represent the flush.
Moves all in. Nothing really Hollywood can beat here.
Hollywood's going to make the right lay down to the wrong hand.
Frank doesn't have him beat there with a pair of 7s. And he takes it down.
I cannot show like slow.
You can see it later on the
You can
internet.
see
They
it
show you
better.
the next one.
I'm working tomorrow. Who's gonna have time?
Thank you.
Working them. Are you working now?
He's going to bring in those chips, roll them in there.
Few big blinds.
So did you do some shows in the Boston area before?
I have not been to Boston.
Really?
I have not been to Boston.
You'll certainly get some drunk hecklers there. I'm sure of that.
The East Coast is a gene pool for hecklers. It doesn't matter if you're in Detroit, D.C., New York. They let you know right where you stand.
Cleveland. I mean, that's going to be a really bad feeling. It's almost like sometimes the people on sports teams say, well, it's great to travel, but it gets old real quick because I find myself in Cincinnati sitting in a hotel room saying, what am I
Exactly.
doing with my life?
On the road, you end up in hotel rooms.
Yeah.
And the demons dancing in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Pot has limped around.
Check.
King, Queen, 5, and seat 3 is flop the flush, Tony. And he checked it from up front. Wow. So he's going to let a free card go off. It turns a 9.
Bet 50.
And he's going to bet 50 here. Doesn't look like anyone can call here.
Frank's the only possible. I don't see him doing it.
Oh, there you go. He
Yeah.
calls with the Queen.
That's
Drawing totally dead. The river is a king. Now, if I'm Tony, I make a big value bet here.
Sure.
Why not? Hope the guy has a king. My goodness. None of this pussy bet here, Tony. I'd bet like 400 here.
300.
Well, 300. He's going to bet 300.
He also wants to get called, too.
Yeah. But I mean, this guy's, he's been calling with a lot of hands. Again, the river's a king of clubs.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to muck it. One of the interesting trends that we saw in the last whale game on Wednesday, and I've said it before, was a lot of value betting by the pros against the whales on the river. A lot of value betting. Sometimes big value betting. And they would make a lot of money by betting a hand that they know was good. And it wasn't necessarily even top pair. You know?
Yeah.
2,000 behind.
1,009. 4 diamonds.
Someone asked for 1,000 behind here. I don't know if that was Frank. It was actually Alan.
Make it 70.
Frank likes to raise with some very strange-looking hands.
Well, seat 5 is raised here with pocket 9s. But Frank makes the call and Homan calls.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's okay. I looked at the wrong player. It's a little more confusing here in the booth, folks, than you would think.
And oh boy, King 9-3.
There's
Ben's
the set.
got a set of 9. Who was the raiser here? Am I right or is it Homan? Seat 6 or seat 5?
100.
Okay, Ben was the raiser, so he's going to continue with the bet. He bets right into the set, bets 100, gets a call from Homan. I think Homan thinks he's slow playing the hand. I really do.
He sure does.
The turn is a 5, and boy, he's been in a great spot now. And he's going to check
gonna
here,
check.
and look at this. Homan's going to
He's
bet
going to fall for it.
$200.
I can go that long. I love massage.
Yeah.
Ben figured that turn can't help any draws, and I think that this guy might
Oh, he's going
might
to
have
come
a
over
king.
here. He's
Yeah.
got to come over the top.
It's a $200 bet here on the turn. Ben has set the trap.
And here comes the Hollywood.
Look at it. Look at the act here,
Here comes the
Roger.
Hollywood.
Looks like his face is pained.
Oh my God!
But I mean,
Gosh,
this is-
I
but
just
this
hate
is-
to call the second set. I just can't stand it. I think what I'll do is I'll just push them
Yeah,
all
but-
in.
but that's a really big
Yeah,
tell there,
we
though,
go.
Roger.
That
I
is,
mean-
my God, that's a neon
My
sign.
guys bought
Yeah.
me this massage chair for
How much more is it?
Christmas, as a Christmas present. Yeah. They got so sick and tired, I would go into the office and
Looks like it might be 600 there in front of him. Look at this. Homan's just going to call.
He's going to
like,
come right at it, and he's calling
just
it the
gonna call.
throwaway chips. He doesn't want to throw the white ones in. He knows he don't like his hand anymore. Here's the sucker hand once again.
Deuce on the river. You win small pots with King Queen, and you lose big ones.
Yeah, you sure do.
Yep.
4, 5, 6, 7, 17.
We're going to lose seat 1 to Mexican poker, it looks like.
Hope not. Hope not.
Well, now we know what Ben was waiting for.
Yeah. And again, Dan really hasn't had the opportunity to do any of this tonight. He's just playing squeaky tight, and he hasn't really gotten any hands.
I don't like this.
There you go.
You're like me. When you sit, you can't wait.
That first open for a raise and then throwaway that Ben made quite possibly got him that play from Holman.
Yeah, maybe. But he got picked off that time.
He sure did.
So do you see a lot of similarities between professional poker playing and stand-up comedy? And it seems in terms of drug use, inner emotional struggle.
Believe it or not, actually, there are
Yeah.
a lot of them. One of the bigger similarities is in the streakiness of both.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can do no wrong on stage, and out of nowhere you're doing the same thing, and it isn't working.
Yeah.
Just very much the same way that poker is.
Yeah. Queen 3-7 here, or Queen 3-6 on the flop.
Where's the button? Oh, yeah.
Seat 5 has the button. Right in that B, can barely make it out there. Got checked around on the flop. The turn's a 9. And Frank has made 2 pair. And he's had the same situation before tonight. Let's see if he bets. No, he's going to bet finally. 9s and 3s.
Not a very big pot. 50 is not a bad bet.
And Homan has a flush draw. He's going to make the call. He needs to catch a diamond because his ace or jack is not good. And the river is a king.
He also figured he had overcoats on that.
Look at this. He's going to bet. He's going to bet 100. A bit of what we sometimes call a stop bet. I don't think that he really wants to face a big bet here, but... And Frank is just going to call.
Just going to call it. It's
Yeah.
He bet 200 there.
Stop bet or a bluff, whatever you want to call it. He didn't really have much, so maybe you don't call it a stop bet. But I needed to use
a
that.
little steaming from the 9s right now.
I needed to make that. I needed to use that terminology though for some of the viewers out there at home.
Almond's not happy looking at that set of 9s.
Do you sometimes feel like you need a bankroll in stand-up comedy too?
Boy, you sure do.
Really?
Yeah. It's a lot of times the lower end gigs will put you up for 5 days, and then you're in between gigs in different places, and you're on your own to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
From one spot to the next.
And what exactly are you doing in between in those times? Just looking for, trying to promote yourself, or
a lot of times, if it's a low rent gig, you're driving to the next one. If you're dealing with the mayor ferry, wherever you are, you're going to end up in a hotel.
Yeah. Limped around here. 5-way action. Ooh, all spades. I like to fire into these pots. It's tough for someone to call me without an ace, or at least the second or third nut spade. Dan has an ace.
It's one of the times when it pays to be up front.
Turn is a 9. Let's see if Dan puts some money in here. Yeah, here we go. This is the first time we've seen him bet all night long.
Yes, it is.
The entire night. We're about 2 hours into the show.
And he's not very happy with what he has. A raise would probably lose him.
Well, luckily for him, we've got a bunch of calling stations at the table. I mean, if you're right, if Ed were to raise there, he probably would take it down.
Sure.
But
And the other thing is the fact that he has thrown so many hands away.
Yeah.
He's going to get some respect.
Exactly. I do that.
Did you ever have the opportunity to go on Saturday Night Live or ever try out for that or anything? Isn't that like a comedian's real? I mean, that's a really big opportunity, right? Because there's
They
so many
pretty
people
much
that
pick their people.
really.
And a couple of the people that have gotten on are good friends of mine, Tracy Morgan and Ferness Mitchell, are good friends of mine that found their way onto the show. But a lot of that is improv comedy
Yeah.
as opposed to stand-up comedy. So they're looking for a token stand-up or two, but it's primarily improv comics.
To do those sketches.
To
you
do
mean, it
the
just works
sketches,
better.
right, to
Yeah.
have more of a theatrical background. A lot of stand-ups can't act at all.
Right. Now, Adam Sandler was a stand-up, though, right?
He was a stand-up for quite a while.
Yeah.
Very good one, too.
Holman's going to make it 150 to go. He's got ace-9 of clubs.
Sigue la tercera, mira.
Dan has ace-9 of hearts, and he mucks quickly. So he had the same hand. Now, Ed's got king-jack over there in seat 4. He might call. King-jack suited.
140.
What about Frank, though? He's got 6-8 offsuit. What am I thinking? He's going to make the call as well.
He's going to come. Here he is.
Make it 600.
Wow, Ed's going to come over the top. He re-raises. He pulls the limp re-raise here to 600.
A bold raise.
And now what does my ace-9 look like?
Holman's still a little steaming, but I don't think he could like this, but isn't, yeah. I didn't think he liked that one.
On me?
Yes.
I think Frank's going to come out of the ether here. Yeah.
There you go.
600 will buy a lot of pots.
You do?
I wish.
Pick a couple of cards and call.
Show one card. Can I dig around
Show
for
one
the other
card.
two aces?
Oh, Papa Jack's,
Sure, win a pot, tell a story, get a back rub, tell a few jokes.
Yeah.
Why not?
Thank you.
Life in Los Angeles.
Oh, look at this real-time information here. Now, I don't know if you've heard of the fact that a lot of these young kids who play poker now, Roger, come from a game called Magic the Gathering. It was a kind of a fantasy game. It was a card game.
Really?
And this is where David Williams comes from and some of these other guys. The guy that won the Limit Hold'em event, first event of the World Series this year. I used to play it a little bit when I was a freshman in high school, not like these guys who kind of played it a little bit professionally, and they turned into poker players because obviously there's more money in poker. And the guy in seat 5 looks like he is a former champion,
It's not that free.
Ben Rubin.
That very well looks like him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's...
Playing poker the last few years put some lines in his face, didn't it?
Looks a little bit older. Got a raise here and got 3 callers. Who raised here? Seat 1. Frank raised with
Frank.
8-4 offsuit out of the blind. Wow. King 9-10, couple of hearts. And the Holman's hit top pair and he's going to bet. He bets 90. And by the way, thank you for that. What's that? NAQ0081. Or NAG0081 on 2+2. I don't know if I've seen him post before on the thread.
What kind of prize do you win for something like that?
For Magic? They used to play for money or they had sponsorship, but obviously it's not the type of money that poker is. But
Right.
again, a lot of them made, I guess, the natural evolution to a real card game with
Sure.
real money in it. So
Quite
quite interesting.
Corey here? Maybe I'll come back for his big one.
I might be dating myself, but I used to play Magic with, what is it, Series 2 cards? The first revised edition? All you Magic players out there? I think I might have some Lord of the Pits and Sarah Angels from the beta version out there, if anyone knows what I'm talking about.
For those wives of the internet, that's like an 8-track stereo.
Yeah. Divine Intervention from the Legends collection. I think they have that one framed, even though it's not worth
Who's
any
got the
money.
Commanders? Seat 9?
Which dealership?
Kings.
Seat 9. Okay.
Oh, where's that at? Alhambra?
Here's what you're talking about. Well, we didn't get Frank on this one.
Close by Main
That's
Street.
what you're saying, your value raise.
Yep.
Why not with the loose players? And you did pick up Holman.
Yeah, look at Holman. He's going
With
to
the
call
deuces,
pocket
you did.
deuces.
This is exactly the play you were talking
Wow,
about.
and this is what I'm talking about. Russ, he makes these again. He'll make these calls with these trap hands. which is
that is a trap
little bit
hand.
of a weakness in his game. 8-5-5, couple of hearts.
Got to make your play here, Alan.
And boy, Holman might think his hand's good. And look at this, he's going to bet right into it. Looks like maybe 200.
You wanted to buy some trucks?
The raise pre-flop was how much there?
I walked in.
Was it 200?
200. So it's a $600 pot, and he's going to bet he's going to bet 180 here. Let's see what Allen does. He's going to come over the top. He makes it 400.
I said it's 14,000.
Now, the problem for Homan here is
For 50,000, I said I won 4.
he's in big trouble. Because Allen's not going anywhere here. There's just not enough chips
Unless
to
he
play.
picks up a hearty in the stone 2 hole.
Yeah, but Homan only has like 400 left, so I don't think Allen's going anywhere with his hand.
No, I don't think so either.
Pot is now over $1,000. It's about a $1,200 pot.
La tres.
The turn is a 6, so now a one-liner to a straight. Homan checks, and if I was Allen, I got to tell you, I'd probably move the guy
Move him
all
in.
Yeah,
Sure. Just
Maybe.
in case he's got 2 hearts, you got to move him in here.
Remember
Yeah.
the 7-9.
Well, if you got it for 4 hours, that will say really slow.
And wait a minute, what did Homan do here? Did Homan check?
I think a friend of mine.
What is the action here? I'm asking my close.
Next night is 5.
So Homan did check. Okay. Thought someone said that Homan moved all in, but I didn't see any money going in front.
Alan, I hope this is an act, because if it isn't, those all have to go in.
I don't know what Allen's thinking of. Oh no, it is. Homan did move all in. That's what I thought. He didn't put any. He put $1,000 chip in. Homan moved all in here, Roger. That's
Oh,
why.
Homan
That's
moved
what the
all in.
delay
That's
was.
what this is
Yeah.
all about.
This 500 that I've got out there in the Mercedes was a summer.
So he's moved all in here.
Okay, disregard the last couple of moments of
Yeah, sorry
commentary
about
from
that,
both
folks.
of us.
And I saw this Coke machine.
And he's got about 2,400 in front of him. Allen looks like he only has maybe
I pulled in to buy
500 there, and he's thinking.
I walked out with
Now the pot again, it's about.
was so
Allen actually has 800, so let's do some pot odds here. So it would be an $800 pot bet by Homan. It's a $2,000 pot, 800 for Allen to call. In this spot against Homan, from what I've been seeing him show down, I think I make
He
the call.
has to go.
And Allen does
he
call.
has to go. Sure he does.
And he does call.
You'd have to show me something to beat 2 kings here.
And the river is a 3. And deuces is not going to do it. Allen's going to take it down there with
Did
kings.
you get it?
See if Homan continues to steam it up here.
Losing to that set of 9s definitely hurt his game.
Yeah,
He's still playing
look
that
at his
pot.
face, man.
He's still playing that pot with the 9s.
You can't fault Allen. I wouldn't go anywhere there.
No,
I
you
really
can't. You
wouldn't.
have to show me something to beat 2 kings in that spot.
I mean, you don't necessarily put the guy on a 7. I guess you could say he had a 5, but
That's the only thing you could give him is slow playing a 5.
the way that he played it, he bet the flop. Allen raised. He called, and then he moved all in on the turn. Well, you might give him credit for a 5, but again, the way that the pot size and the chips, it becomes a pot odds issue where what's the chances that the guy has a hand that's worse than kings? Probably pretty good. Even if it's 50-50, I think you still make the call.
Sure. Seat 1 left.
Did Homan just take off there?
Thank you, everybody.
Homan and Frank both took off. Wow.
Now, this is the time when you're playing in a game that you want to reassess your style because you are almost in a shorthanded situation now.
Yep.
We're down to 5-handed.
Oh
Is that what this is? 1, 2, 3, 6-handed. Is that correct?
7.
7 players?
7.
What am I missing?
Just
Okay.
we're 6-handed here in the hand. You're right.
Okay,
though,
we're
Roger.
6-handed. Okay.
Yeah.
Pot's been raised to 80.
This is where you can step up your game a little.
Did Ross raise it? That's a
Hollywood
that's a
did.
good
What's he
raise.
got? Ace Jack?
Yep, ace jack. And Allen's
And
got
that's it.
pocket jacks, and he just smooth calls there. Just a smooth call. And small
it's
blind,
fun.
Ed's
It's
got 4 or
okay.
5 of diamonds.
Why would you want to smooth call the 2
I
jacks
don't
there?
know.
You just want a
Short-handed.
hand. Sure, that's
Yeah.
a huge hand.
Yeah, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. King 9-4. Now he
That's
doesn't
what
know
you're
where
going
he's
to
at.
find. Now you don't know where you are.
Now Hollywood, if he bets,
You cannot like it. And he
Allen might
does.
put himself in a position where he's just going to fold here. No, he's going to call. It's only a $120 bet. Ed's out of there. Maybe Allen's going to see what the guy does on the turn. Allen does have position on Russ. Turn is an 8. But Russ,
He's committed to the
look at
hand
this. He's
now.
going to push all in here.
He's committed to the hand.
270.
270.
Watch out, Ross has got a flush.
The only
already.
chance he's got.
I'm going to say the pot is about 700, 270 for Allen to call. And look at this, he's
And
going to
he
muck
throws
it.
it away.
Yeah, I mean, he can
played
only
it. He
fault
ma-
himself for that.
I sure can. He let
Yeah.
that one go. He just gave that cash away. After you just won a hand and you pick up Pocket Jackson.
It's the
at 600.
pre-flop play that kills you,
Sure,
right?
that's exactly what.
And again, if he's going with the theory, well, I'm going to see what happens here on the turn if Russ pushes it. Russ is on such a short stack that he's going to push anyways, pretty
Sure.
much. I mean, what is he going to check and fold with his last 200? It just, like I said, if he thought his hand was good on the flop, I think you might need to call there
There's
on
a
the
certain
turn.
momentum you get when you win a big hand, psychologically over the other players. And all of a sudden now you shove them in before the fall.
Yeah.
No one's that anxious to call anymore. You just took in a big hand.
Three players.
Three-way action here, limped around.
The first one was discouraging. But
Ace, queen, 6. No one has anything here. Oh, actually, Russ has got a pair of queens. Or Ed has a pair of queens. And he bets it in position and he takes it down.
Should get that one.
sorry.
Sorry about that. Mike.
Again, we are here live at the bike. We stream live cash games
Yes, sir.
uh,
Got a live straddle.
every Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 p.m. I'm here with Roger Rudd, professional comedian and celebrity poker instructor.
Only when I get lucky.
We are doing a 10-20 no limit game, $1,000 minimum buy-in, unrestricted maximum buy-in.
Please do the honors of introducing yourself, my distinguished colleague. You're doing a great job.
We got a live straddle there in seat 2, so it's 40 to call. Straddle, of course, is a second big blind. He's going to have the option when it comes around to him.
4 players.
And he picked up 3-5 in the straddle spot, and he checks it. We've got 4-way action here.
Look at bottom 2.
Yep, bottom 2. We're missing somebody's
And
cards.
Hollywood with the cowboy.
Yep.
120.
And Corey's going to bet 120, and Russ is going to get caught up in this hand again.
He sure is.
I
But
mean,
it's
unless,
our bottom 2, and there's a
well,
lot
Ed's
of
going
hurt
to call
cards.
with Ace-10, a backdoor
That's
diamond
a
draw.
range call.
Now let's see if Russ raises here. The $120 bet,
Raise it.
I would
and he's
think
going to
so.
raise, and now it's time for Corey to really come over the top when Ed calls in between. He makes it 360. Ed is called in between, probably representing some sort of draw. Russ has raised it in position, and the action's back to Corey with bottom 2.
This is throw it away or put it all in time as far as I'm concerned with this hand. It's one or the other. A call here I would not.
And he calls.
He calls. I don't like that play.
And Ed calls.
Too many cards hurt
There are
you.
3 players.
Yep. And the pot is now about $1,200. You're right. I do not understand the call there. Turn is a 10. Now Ed's picked up a pair. And now you don't even know where you're at now when
No,
the
of
10
course
comes
not.
out. Someone could have king 10.
And he's going to lead.
Well, maybe he's just, he wanted to wait and see if a diamond came on the turn.
1,000.
And he's going to bet 1,000. And I'm sure that Russ is going to call here. I mean, Russ doesn't have much
How
left.
much does he have left?
I want to say maybe 400 or 500.
And he's committed.
No,
Russ
Russ
has
actually has
a
1,000 in
oh,
white
okay.
chips. Excuse me.
Oh, you bet? Ah, Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
I think Russ might be done here.
Well, let's see.
Russ is done. Yeah.
Well, it's a good laydown when someone check calls the flop and then bets into
And
you
then
on the
leads
turn.
into it like that.
Yeah.
Don't like the way he played it, but he took it.
Well, he didn't make any money off of it. The only
No.
thing that he basically gave away a free
Gave
card.
away a free card that could have killed him.
Yep. Gave away a free
You're
card.
going to put in $1,000. I'd have done it before that 10 fell.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are some hands where you can say check call the flop and lead into the turn because your hand is just so good. Bottom 2 pair is not
Bottom
one of
2
them.
is not one of them. You're absolutely right.
No.
Bottom 2 out of position.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dan's still just not picking up any hands.
Knit 1, pearl 2 for Dan. Can't blame him. He hasn't had anything.
Yep.
4 players.
4-way action here. It's about a $80 pot. Ace, queen, 9.
Tony's got the best of this one, doesn't he?
Not Corey there.
Oh, no,
Ace
that's
7.
Corey does. Okay.
60.
And Hollywood Russ, it got checked to him. He's going to bet 60, so the weak ace checked from up front. Corey calls. And Tony calls. Tony has an open-ended straight
Russ
draw.
isn't happy right now.
Yeah, Tony's got the open-ended straight draw. The turn is a jack. Well, now Russ picks up a pair, and it gets checked around, and the river is a king.
Look at this.
And Tony backed into a straight.
Yes, he did. He backed into checkmate. And 2 pair for Hollywood.
Well,
King's up.
how did Tony check that? Are
How
you kidding
did
me?
Tony check the joint?
Are you kidding
My
me?
God.
Of course you.
What are you doing?
Funny thing about
I
that
know.
check and raise thing, you need a partner.
That doesn't make.
I bet I'll bet for.
How
I
is
bet I'm
someone
not
gonna?
gonna get called. I know that.
I'm not going to get called.
You've got the nuts though. That's. I'm sorry. Tony works here. He's a friend of mine, but that's pitiful.
Oh, there's nothing personal in it. It's
I
just
mean,
a
give
very,
me a
very,
break.
very, very weak play.
Yeah,
Nothing personal to
yeah.
it.
I mean, that's got to be one of the worst plays we've seen all night.
From the guy that might have the biggest stack.
Yeah.
The wonders of poker.
Yeah.
The great equalizer.
I'm not going to bet.
Wait.
because-
Can we get that last shot again? What did we just say? There we go. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now, who is she sweating? Oh, that explains it. Now he's distracted, folks. That's how you check the nuts. Have a nice-looking lady sitting in back of you.
Well, Dan finally's picked up a hand. He's got pocket kings, but I don't think he's going to get called because no one has anything.
No one has anything, and yeah.
And he's raised it to 120, which is 6 times the blind.
Yeah,
That's
that's a
pretty
large
big.
bet.
Yeah.
Here's his only shot. There
Yeah.
it is. No, the rub down feels
I mean,
too good.
Tony says, I'm not going to bet because I know I wouldn't get called. You can't get called by a worse hand. You have the nuts.
You
It
can't
was
get
the
called
nuts.
if you don't bet either.
Yeah. That doesn't make any sense.
Oh, she was mad at him?
Actually, the cameraman was saying she was mad at him that he didn't bet. I'd be too.
I would
If some
think
of that,
so.
if I was his girlfriend, I knew some of the
Tony,
money
you'd be
was going to be
sleeping on the
spent
couch
on me.
tonight. You keep checking the nuts.
Run. Do they have 500 over there? That table? They have a 500 over there?
Actually, yeah, Tony is married. That's right. Is that his wife out there?
I
don't
wasn't-
think I don't think that's his wife. So we want to shut up before we get him in trouble.
Okay, we just went to the G-rated portion of the show again. Now we're back to talking about poker.
There are 2 players.
I think
They're just friends.
Yeah.
That's right next to the checks in the mail, folks.
Donna, what time?
9.
Ben the Magic Man has Ace Jack. He's flopped top pair. And he bets, and Ed's going to fold.
Up to 9?
Thanks.
What are you asking?
Used to be 10, but now it's until 9. Because they made it 5 days a week instead of 4 days a week.
So they have to buy the time.
And actually,
I'm not sure.
and I'm just going to throw this out there for you, people on 2+2 responding.
Was there a flop
There's
on that hand?
a buddy of mine here who was a prop and actually is going to become a prop here again, told me that he used to play Magic,
Drop already a
and he said that he gave the game up because on the tournament circuit of Magic, there was just so much cheating that you basically had to cheat because everyone else was, or you'd be in a severe
70.
disadvantage. But I guess he said he's been out of it for a while, and he said that they've cleaned it up. But I think that's why some people move to poker. $70 raise there by Hollywood Russ, Ace King of Hearts. Ben's got pocket deuces. He calls. 10-6-6. Russ has got a flush draw with overcards.
I think so.
By random? No,
It's a $210 pot.
What's he leading out with?
About 200 it looks like. Looks like a stack of brown.
there's a screening process. Obviously, there's a screening process.
$1.50?
Yeah, $1.50. There you go.
Something.
He stopped when he tried to go for that
Yes,
stack.
he did.
There's qualification.
Ed, what are you doing? Oh, thank you.
Ben's not going to get involved.
Sure. Say goodbye. Ducks for dinner.
Thank you, Wes. Be the big one, okay?
And we're going to say that, I mean, Mo being the host of this game really helps the game, and he's not here tonight, and it makes a big difference.
Back a little while ago, a couple of beats.
She's got a PhD.
A couple of beats ago,
There we go.
Hollywood was sporting an unlit cigar that is now no longer in his mouth.
Yep. Another chip count there. Got 2 open seats. Mr. Hollywood, seat 7.
Mr. Hollywood.
You remember?
3-way action here. 4, 5, 10. Russ is going to bet here with King 4. Corey's got an open-end straight draw. He
And
calls.
straighter.
2 players.
And we're heads up. Turn is a jack. Check, and that lights
Check. That's
Corey's eyes
a
up.
check.
He checks behind him, takes a card, 10 on the river. Well, here's another bet that I probably wouldn't have made here on the river
I
if
don't
I
think
was
so
Russ.
either. What are you going to find except a better hand?
Yeah, yeah. One of those bets again that has very, very little equity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Place to make that bet would have been on 4.
You also check there to also induce a bluff. I mean, you check, and then if they bet, now you reevaluate it. But by betting, like you said, you're really only going to get called by a hand that would beat you normally.
Yeah, fish and chips. You go to steak and fish and chips. Pretty good.
3-way action here, limped around.
Oh, I see. That's nice.
Queen, jack, deuce. Turns a jack. No one has anything. Wow, look at all the low cards here.
We all check.
Okay, excuse me.
And the river's a king. In play, who has the best hand here? The 2 8s. Chop it up. And I think Ed actually mucked the chop hand. I know the board isn't up there, but that's very interesting. Ed mucked the chop hand. Ed mucked his 8-3. He would chop it with Hollywood. It was a king on the river. And he mucked the hand because he didn't think it was any good. 8-3, that's interesting.
A lot of these pots have for sale signs on them for whoever wants to step up and get aggressive. It's a short-handed game now.
Chop. Chop it 3-way.
Oh, chop it 3.
Yes, sir.
I brokered us a deal.
Oh, good. You're an attorney, huh?
Let's get some action out there, huh? It's really slowed down.
I'm sorry about that.
It's like, I don't even want to show this. He told
I don't
me the
even
fact
know
that
why.
said, you want to chop it up? Okay. Yeah.
4 players.
4-way action here. Ace, 8, ace. Couple of spades. Checked around. What else is new? The turn's a 5.
Fairness to the players, nobody really has much except for the straight draw.
100.
Couple of straight draws, actually. Same hand.
Call.
Can't even remember.
Alan's going to call. Well, there's a difference between checking and calling and betting it. And the river's a king. Now, both people have missed. Let's see if Corey follows up here. No. They're just going to check it down, and both players are going to chop it up here with 6-7. Jeez.
And I forgot to bet is right.
Same hand. It would be funny if he hit it.
Wow.
Red, wait, we race. All is dull.
I don't think either one of you would go in. Oh,
No, it would have reached there, but
Well, there's always word that Corporation Mike is around, but every time I say that, we can never get him into the game. So he's around, but I don't know if he's going to. I mean, once he comes into the game, it will definitely liven things up. Yeah, I think he works later on, unfortunately. It's too bad.
Magic Pen coming in with the ace-queen. Is that what I saw?
There's Corporation Mike. Yep, Ben comes in there with ace
5
queen.
players.
Oh wow, we've got a
We've
family
got some-
pot here.
we
King
finally have
jack,
some
ace
hands.
jack, queen 8.
We finally have some hands there.
Dan's
the
in there
ace.
with ace jack, and Dan could get in trouble here. Dan could get in trouble. Ace 8-5.
Ben's even got the better spade, except for Hollywood, who wants to go double on it if he does.
He's going to bet 200, about the size of the pot here. And wow, did Dan? Oh, let's see. The action's over to Dan. He's going to call. And again, he's played it really tight. Alan, you can't call here with queen 8 of hearts. Come on, buddy. No. And this is going to be interesting. The turn is a 7. Now let's see what Ben does. Pot is now about $600. Actually, it's 700. It's more than that.
About 400, I'm saying.
400.
He bets 400, and Dan quickly calls. So we're approaching about 1,500. The river is an ace. Oh
my
man.
God, poor Dan's going to go broke here.
About a $1,500 pot. And now the question for Ben is, do you put the guy in the weak ace? Do you move all in and hope your queen plays here? I mean, Dan's
He's
played
played it for
squeaky
the
tight.
best hand all along.
Yeah.
He has played it for the best. And Ace King would have raised him at some point.
I think I might move all in here.
Here comes the Hollywood face again. 600-700. This is, oh shucks, I think I'll bet it all.
And that's what he's going to do. He's going to put Dan all in. It's a $700 pot, $2,200 pot now, $700 for Dan to call. And Dan's in a real tough spot here. I mean, this would be a mega laydown, but the pot is so
His
big.
pot stuck now. He's got to go. I
700.
can't see him getting away from it. I feel sorry for him. He waited a long time for a good hand. He found a buzzsaw.
That's why
The guy also could have a set that would beat him, too.
Sure.
It's a $700 bet, $2,200 in the pot, $700 to call. Yeah, that case ace on the river really crushed Dan. And like I said, if Dan made this laydown, it would be the laydown of the century. It would be one of the biggest laydowns we've ever seen on Live with the Bike, even though it's not that much money.
No, if it's just the play-wise in the
Yeah.
situation, you're right. It's a hell of a laydown if he makes it.
Yeah.
I'm pulling for him. He doesn't like the...
Wow, he's going to
gonna
show
throw it.
the ace. He's trying to get a reaction. That's legal in a cash game. You can do that. Oh, and now he's going to call.
Oh, God.
He's going to call. He was trying to read Ben. And ace-queen is good. Wow. Boy. That's tough. Goes into his wallet. You can't fault it. I mean, I don't know
No,
who
you
makes
can't
that
fault him.
laydown.
You really
right?
can't.
That's
But
just
he just found a
difficult.
bad situation.
Yeah, that's real difficult.
Small blind, big blind.
Ben has walked into a couple of very nice situations since he sat down.
But Ben definitely extracted maximum value out of that
He
hand.
did.
For sure. For sure.
How much? 1,000 behind 8.
Dan's going to buy in for the minimum here. Well, ace-jack, another one of those trouble hands there. Similar
sure
to
is.
king-queen and king-jack.
It sure is. It's
Yeah.
one of those hands that loses you a big pot and wins a small one.
Yeah,
4 players.
four-way action here. 3, 5, 8. Jack 8 over there for Ed.
60.
He's going to bet 60.
8s and 3s. But they're suited.
We're going to see Corporation Mike in about 15 minutes.
But
I'll
do
see it when
walk
I
in the
believe it, because we always say that and it never happens.
That's $10.
Corporation Mike. Now, how did he get a name like that?
He works for the corporation here.
I see. Oh, the
California side.
California side
Yeah.
games. Corporation
50?
Mike.
Okay. 50?
We're heads up here. Queen 9 against Jack 8. Alan called with Queen 9. I don't know. What is Alan calling? He called again? And the river is
Alan,
a
I
jack.
got a bet. I'm sorry.
And now Ed has made jacks up. Jacks and 8s. Top 2
I've got a bet.
He bets again. I don't really know why Alan was calling.
I
on
don't
the
know what
flop.
he was looking to make.
Interesting. Straight draw.
You counted? It was okay?
Yeah, I did. It was good.
He loves
likes
to
the short,
stick it
yeah.
to me, you know? $5 at a time, $10 at a time.
That's the way to stick it to him.
Well, again, this is the first time we've seen Dan at the table. I feel bad that he lost there, but he put himself in a tough spot, obviously.
Oh my goodness.
I think the play, I mean, the only way he could have played it was to raise and see where he's at some point in the
Right.
hand, right?
Right. That's the only place he could have raised. Very early on in the game, pre-flop would have been a good place to find out where you were.
Or on the flop, maybe.
Maybe on the flop, but
possibly, but still, it's tough.
Round 2.
$100 raise there by Ed, and Alan has the best hand. He limped called from early position. Raggy flop. And these two are just so passive, they might just check it down if no one hits each other. 9 on the turn.
Check.
I know these guys like the back of my hand.
You
and
sure
the ace
do.
comes on the river.
here comes the fireworks.
Ed's going to bet $20, and Alan's probably just going to call. Third heart.
You're overplaying your hand.
Send the pot. Send the pot. Send it. Send it.
And obviously, Alan probably loses it. He could have probably value raised there on the river. But he chose not to.
Ace, Jack, Ace, Queen. Now you're getting down to the nitty gritty, huh?
I felt it.
You do. Small blind. Big blind, sir.
You had the button last 16?
Yeah. One deal on it, sir.
No more mercy. No
So
more
do you usually
prisoner.
ward off the alcohol thing when you're doing the show?
Stay completely away from it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Did you at one time, though?
No, actually, I never did.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's just, I always feel like if that's what your job is, you don't go to IBM
Right.
with a satchel, a
$60.
flask in your pocket.
Alan, it's not if as though I was playing deuce and 4 and you were playing ace and queen. Yeah, come.
Ed here is bet 60, and Alan makes the call.
Home game now, huh?
Yeah.
A heads up on game.
That's
Wow.
a
I got a pair.
10-4-7, couple of spades.
40 good?
I check, I got a pair.
Is 40 okay?
Is 40 okay with you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, 40.
Ed bets 40. Alan calls. Turn is an 8. Alan now has a flush draw as well.
Check, check.
Check, check.
check, check.
River is a 3. And Alan looks like he's good here with a pair of 7s.
I still check.
I think they're going to show this one down too, aren't they?
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't have a pair.
I got a pair. I had a flush draw, I had a straight draw, I had all kinds of draws.
And the nature of this table has turned extremely passive.
It does. Is
tight.
Corporation Dan play a little
weak.
fast?
Corporation Mike is, yeah, he's a
Corporation Mike?
crazy player.
Good, we need him.
Yeah.
But I had nothing. And no flush draws, no nothing. I was there for the fun of it.
You have draw also. But I have to run these draws.
A poker joke. We don't have enough time for the ones I know.
Actually, Tony, our home game was much wilder than this game. It wasn't friendly at all.
King, queen offsuit there for Corey.
It was a big game, I'm telling you.
Hey, you and Alan?
What, do we have a chip count on this? A recent chip count?
Oh, your home game?
Long time we don't play.
Coming here in a couple
Thank
of
you.
minutes.
When did you guys play?
We used to play Friday.
And Hollywood Russ is going to raise. Pocket 8.
110.
110 to go.
110 to call. He calls.
And a call.
Here comes the Hollywood.
Yeah, they were nice.
Tony, our home game, every putt was raised. There was no putt.
Look at Ben. He's got a suited connector. He's checking Russ's stack out.
No playing, no
And
net?
then he's
When
checking
whenever
Ed's
he
stack
makes the
out.
scrunch up face, it's the Hollywood move. I think he calls here.
Well, I think he's trying to figure out the odds. And I think that if Hollywood has enough, well, he's not going to make the call. Ed had a lot of chips, though, but I guess Russ didn't really have
Two
enough.
players.
Ben didn't want to take it off there with 4-3 of hearts. King, king, deuce.
Oh, yes. Same company.
And Hollywood's going to bet.
Same company.
200.
$200 bet. And a fold.
And that's it.
So in the 1980s, or say even the 90s, or even recently, you got stand-up comedian like groupies. I mean,
Not anymore.
Something like Motley Crue, where they're sitting
Not
there waiting
anymore.
for it. I can tell you, the bike groupies, they're lining up outside the door.
I
for
noticed
me.
that. I've been hearing the pounding the whole time I've been in here.
I've been a very happy man recently. Not anymore, but there was before.
In the 80s, there were.
There
Actually.
were?
There actually were, yes. Before it turned out that, well, Eddie, yeah, he was one of the groupies back then.
Eddie Murphy.
Yes, he was.
Eddie Murphy.
Yes.
Raise to 60.
Ben's going to raise your $60. Ace, deuce of spade. Yeah, Hollywood Russ is going to make a smooth call on the button. 8-10 offsuit. And we're heads up. Ace, deuce against 8-10.
Come down to this.
Queen, 6, queen. Let's see if Ben continues with a bet here. He's going to bet. He's going to take it down. There we go.
That's the respect.
You ever been to the Rainbow Room in LA, down over there in Sunset with the 80s music and stuff?
Oh, yeah,
All
I've
those
been
guys,
there. Yeah, that was some time ago. Yes. The Rainbow Room. Rainbow's got a whole new meaning these days.
It's just amazing. It's sad, though, that you see... boy, I mean, stand-up comics have almost had as many, say, drug overdoses as
Oh,
rock
my God,
stars.
yeah. Sure. It's, well...
I mean, my goodness. What did John Candy? He food poisoned himself to death?
Well, he wasn't
Basically
really a
gorged
stand-up.
himself?
He was a comedic
Comedian, right,
actor,
right.
but yeah, he wasn't exactly on a health kick most of his life. Neither was Chris Farley.
2 players.
Pocket Queens is raised here. Ben, the deck is hitting him in the face, and Corey's made a
It
call
sure
with
is.
King Queen. Corey's going to check. Ragged flop here.
Ideal flop for 2 queens.
Look at this guy. I mean, he looks like
He
he's
likes-
going to the bathroom.
Yeah, he's
It takes it down.
that's good.
Some
man.
people are commenting about 7 and 7 says it's horribly excruciating to watch Ben go through his act.
I have to agree with it. This is what he learned at the Magic Games. Act all you can. Ben's the kind of guy that I think when he gets behind, all of a sudden that whole routine goes right out the window. But he jumped out to a big lead here.
I think John Candy, what did he have, like 25 packages of hot dogs or something in 3 days, 4 pizzas, and a couple logs of liverwurst or something like that.
Yeah, and he didn't come back and do the Kirstie Alley thing either. He
No.
just stayed there the whole time.
Dan is raised with pocket aces, and Allen calls him with king 10. 7, 8, 8 on the flop. Dan's going to bet. Bets 100, and he's going to take it down.
That's going to be it.
Yeah, this is pretty much going to be a heads-up rest of the night here for probably 20 minutes.
That's what I would guess.
Yeah. The nature of this table is not really...
And the gamble is off with Ben. Now, the game continues on after the show.
It does,
Is that correct?
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. This isn't necessarily a game that I'd want to be in, though. I don't think there's a lot of money. Yesterday would be won.
I would think if you had an aggressive style of play,
Yeah.
that you could do
Table's
very
a
well
little
picking
weak-
off a
weak
lot of
tight right
pots.
now.
Everyone's playing very, very snug.
Yeah. So Ed's got about 7,100 over there.
Somebody with some gears.
Dan's probably back over to 1,000 after winning that pot. But he's down for the night, obviously. By losing
Ben
that
has
one
almost
hand.
quadrupled his buy-in,
Yeah.
so he's not really interested in taking a whole lot of chances right now.
Three-way action here, limped around. King 8, 10, couple of spades, checked around, turns a deuce. Checked around again. River's a queen. Dan's going to take it down
He's
with the
going to
queen.
show it on both.
And the comedy clubs you work at, and I apologize for peppering you with these questions,
Oh, not
but
at all.
I'm very
Are you kidding
interested.
me? Yeah, listen, if you get an actor or a comedian talking about himself, you'll be here till Tuesday.
Do they give you free drinks and free food if you're lucky? Would they
A
give
lot
you
of
hook you up
times
with some
they
free
do.
drinks?
Sure, a lot of times they do. That's
Yeah.
pretty much as close as you get to a medical plan is free drinks.
Yeah. But you might partake after the show a little bit?
I try to stay away from it because
really?
it's so conducive to bad habits. It really is.
I need 80. Anita.
Allen raised here with pocket 10s to 80. And look at that. Dan isn't even going to get involved with pocket deuces. He's just playing squeaky.
He's a little snake bit right now. You have a whole lot of questions you ask yourself when you end up putting all your checks in with the worst hand from start to finish. And that's exactly what he did through no real serious fault of his.
Yeah.
But that does make you a little more shy.
Raise to 60.
And Ben is going to
Seat
raise
5?
here. He's going to raise to 60. He's got Jack 8 offsuit. And Russ is going to call.
2 players.
Oh, he's got
Ace
the ace
jack.
jack. Surprised he just called there.
Well, Ben has position on him. Chances are no one's going to hit the flop.
Oh, I have the button in the wrong place. My bad. Okay.
And Ben's going to bet here. Queen 7-7. See if Russ gets tricky. Going to bet 110.
He's done with it.
Russ is done with it. Wow. Let me ask you a question out there. 2+2 or Nagu81. Is that avatar that you have on your little, under your name on the thread, is that the picture from when you get into a fight on the old Nintendo game Blades of Steel? Wow. Are you familiar with any video games there?
Not
There used
too
to be this
many.
hockey game called Blades of Steel.
Right. I
That's
tuned
what it
out
looks
with
like.
Pong.
Isaac's going to have a look. He'll give me the answer. It's a good pickup by me, huh?
Option, sir.
I've
There
got
we-
the Buns of Steel video, but
Yeah, Buns of Steel. There you go. Pot is limped around here. King, 5, Queen, couple of spades. Hollywood's going to bet. That's $50. And he's going to take it down. Got about 20 minutes left in the show. Of course, if you want to watch this show and any of the other saved shows, you can sign up for the archives. Over 1,500 hours of live poker. Just click on the on-demand banner in the upper left-hand corner of your screen at liveatthebike.com. $14.95 a month gets you all of the archived action, plus an instructional DVD from Howard Lederer. And
he knows a
entertaining.
thing or two about poker, doesn't he?
Yeah. And the archives have. I heard that we were a little bit behind. There's been an update to the service. They're currently up right now through this week, through Wednesday, I believe. We apologize for that delay, but the folks that do our stream were having some difficulty. Right around the time that Barry Greenstein came on here on August 31st, there's been some difficulty with a new software swap or some sort of techno babble. Yeah, they're from Vegas, you know. Who knows what they're doing? Done shows in Vegas. We done shows in Vegas.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
But Vegas, they don't play around with your time too much. If you go 1 second
There you
over
go.
your allotment, they're very angry at you.
Really?
Sure.
Just because they have so many things planned, you mean?
A friend of mine went a few minutes over and found himself staring at the casino general manager, explaining to him that as far as we're concerned, you're a buffet that tells jokes.
Really? That's what they said?
That's exactly what they said. This is not the entertainment business, young man. This is the gambling business.
Oh, I see. You don't want to get them out of there as quick as
That's
possible.
it. Get them back out on the floor again. They
Oh.
had your laughs. Now go back and gamble.
That's interesting. I didn't even think of it that
Sure.
way.
If they say 30 minutes, they don't mean 29. They don't mean 31. They mean 30 minutes.
Oh, they don't want you to go short necessarily either?
Not short either. The show is a precise time. They have it all calibrated to who represents how much money each head in the casino is.
Yeah.
Which you'd never think of in a nice, soft, warm, fuzzy little place like Vegas, that they would have that mentality.
3 players.
Three-way action here. Limped around. Oh, Mr. Magic in seat 5 flopped a set.
He has just had no problem making a hand tonight.
Going to bet right into it. Looks like $40. And Ed's going to pay. He's going to call him with King 4. If we see a 4 here on the turn, we could see super fireworks here.
Or a king.
Oh, it's a 4! Unbelievable! Turn away, come back to the screen. This is going to be crazy.
This is going to be
Oh,
a very
man.
large spot. Here comes the. We're about to see the big act, too. The big act is on its way.
There's a bet here and a raise, and here we go with the toilet
Here
look
comes
by
the
seat
ace.
5.
Yep. There it comes. Close. Yeah, can you put them on the camera cards?
Yeah.
There we go. Let's get that table
Oh,
up look.
man.
Oh, this is the somebody just stuck a dagger up my butt move. Oh, my God. Now what do I do with this full house?
Oh, man. I believe it was a $100 bet and a raise to $300. These guys are really deep. If Ben knew Ed's going to pay him off the entire way. I'm telling you, I know Ed.
He caught his man. I know that.
Yeah,
He
and
caught
this
his
could
man.
be over a $5,000 pot here.
And he's
Finally
drawing
a
dead
hand.
to a 4. He's drawing dead to a 4.
Yep. This is going to be amazing. Come back to Live the Bike, multi-table and poker players. He's going to re-raise. He's going to make it 500 more.
What some player at this table should have noticed is the tell that the toilet face has been thus far. Somebody should know that.
Now the pot is now 1,500. It's 500 for Ed to call. And these guys are deep. Real deep.
You know Ed's play better than I am. Is he subject to raise here?
I think Ed could go all in here. I mean, Seat 5's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2,000. He's got 3,000 in front of him, and Ed probably has him covered. Could be one of the big pots here. It's a $1,500 pot, 500 for Ed to call. And the thing is, if you're Seat 5, Bren, and Ed calls here, I push them all in on the river.
Of course.
For sure. Because you know he's got a 4 for sure. And Ed makes the call.
Makes the call.
And the river's a 7, which is a one-liner to a straight. Now, unfortunately, that might kill some of Ben's action. It might kill some of Ben's action, unfortunately.
He's trying to figure out just what amount of money Ed will call here.
7 of spades there on the
That's what the toilet face
river.
is for this time.
7 of spades on the river. The board reads 8, 5, 4, 4, 7.
How deep is he? Okay.
And he's looking how deep he is. There we go. He's going to bet 1,000. I think he would have pushed them all in if that scare card hadn't come there. It's too bad a high blank card didn't come. That killed a lot of his action. $1,000 bet here.
Well, he's gone this far. It'd be very hard for me to imagine him throwing this away.
Yep. So it's now a $3,000 pot, 1,000 for Ed to call. And again, for Ben, it's unfortunate that the 7 came on the river.
Sure
I
is.
really think it is. Really unfortunate.
Although I don't see how Ed could really figure that a 6 played into the hand the way it got played on 4th.
Yeah. I mean, if that river card was a 10, a jack, a queen.
It would have been an automatic, but
Yeah. $3,000 pot, 1,000 for Ed to call. I'm surprised that it's taking Ed so long. And look at this, he's going to pay him off. I just knew he couldn't get away from it, Roger.
Yeah.
$4,000 pot right there, biggest pot of the night.
Show your hand.
he drew dead to a 4, Ed.
Full house.
Wow. $4,000 pot. And again, we probably saw $2,000 of action kill there on the river.
Sure.
By that 7 coming
He
on the
could have
river.
shoved them all in and gotten paid off.
Yeah.
Who do we have as our new player?
New player in seat 6, it's Scott.
He needs a haircut.
Yeah.
Oh, new player.
I see. Okay. High and dry.
Yep.
Must be in a 12-step program. Somebody wrote in, that's the way Ben always looks when he's thinking. That
Yeah,
knows
he's
his
got
play.
a picture of him there. on
Ask me, does he think like that when he doesn't have the joint? That's all I want to know, because I haven't seen that play yet.
5-way action. 3 people have aces, and the case ace comes. And Dan, he's got ace jack, and C2 has ace king.
Again,
Is Dan
Dan's
going to get in
gotten
trouble
trapped.
again?
Again, he's been trapped.
Now look at this. Mr. Magic's got ace 9, and let's see if he's smart enough to get away from it.
He just won a huge pot. He's going to be out early.
Dan has bet, and there's
Soon
a
as the
caller.
fireworks. He hadn't even stacked up the last pot.
Yeah.
He'll be gone quick.
Well,
He won't see the toilet face here, folks.
2 of the tightest players are in the pot. Ben has ace 9. Well, he's going to make the call.
That surprises me.
Yeah. So ace king, ace jack, and ace 9. Turn is a 3. Now it brings a one-liner to a straight. Again, kills a lot of the action, probably.
Could give somebody a license to rob this with the worst hand.
Check, check.
One guy that could rob this right here is Ben.
I think you make a good point there, Roger. And here we go. How much is he going to bet here?
150.
150.
That's not a big enough one, I don't
think so.
He's not going to get away with that.
And it puts Dan in a really tough spot, though.
Dan's
He's got the
sensible enough to
ace-jack
throw his hand
again.
away.
And remember, this guy's only shown down good hands.
It's only shown checkmate. Sure, he got rid of him.
He mucks.
Only Corey, huh?
And Corey mucks. And Ben
that's
steals it
yeah.
in position. There you go. Wow.
I object.
Yeah, it's the right time.
My corporation?
Teach it to come in. New player.
Here we go.
Nodding your head on the flat set. Would you be a little more specific about that?
Pocket kings here for seat 9. I get one good river yell or one good card turn yell, and that was mine right there on that 4.
Bart just woke up my entire apartment complex.
Yeah.
It's an exciting game, folks. That's why we're all tuned in.
Alan's got pocket kings, and he makes it 1:30 to go. Out of the blind, and he's going to take it down.
He's going to take it down.
Yeah. Again, just to harp on the fact that, he did push. Obviously, he pushed. He made it 500 more. I mean, a case could be made for Ben on that hand where he actually might have pushed more on the flop. And the reason being, again, is that, or excuse me, on the turn. After Dan has raised, and Dan's pretty straightforward. I mean, you can characterize him as a calling station. He's not going to raise you.
Well, in defense of Toilet Ben, I would have to say that, to the best of my knowledge, this was his first night in the club.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really have a line on him.
No,
much more than about an hour or so.
What I was going to say was that it's the action killer card. That's what, and he was just unlucky there.
It sure was.
Yeah. $80 raise there by the new player Scott. Got pocket
has
sixes.
40 more. 4 players.
Ed's a little disgusted right now.
Yeah. 4-way action here. King 8, 10.
Check.
Alan actually has the best hand here. But if Scott fires here, he should take it down. $200 bet.
It's a pretty brave bet in that situation.
It is brave, that's for sure.
I don't see anybody that really should call.
Another interesting thing that people are bringing up here, and I don't know if I'll get a chance to ask Ben. I don't really know him that well, but I don't know if he knows Ed. So even if a scare card hadn't come on the river, I wonder if he would have extracted the maximum value there at the river. I know Ed. If I was playing the hand, I definitely would have moved all in.
You would have moved.
I might have moved all in on the turn.
4. Yeah, on 4, I think you might.
Yeah. I mean, again, I know I have the best hand, but there's a few cards out there that's going to scare him.
Sure.
An 8 or a 7.
Exactly.
Those would pretty much kill my hand. But he did get paid off to the tune of $1,000 on the river.
All right, then there's the other part of it that
70.
In that situation, you want to run out somebody with an overpair that could catch.
Yeah, if he had happened to have an overpair that was just kind of slow playing. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Ace 8-6 here. Scott's got ace 10. He's going to bet. And Ed looks like he's got a straight draw. $90 bet. Straight draw and backdoor hearts. Makes the call. Deuce on the turn.
Check.
Check, check. And the river is an ace.
That will embolden Scott.
250.
And look at this. There's the post oak bluff you're talking
Well, that
about.
sure is.
And Scott's going to call him with trip aces.
Going to call him, and that was either everything or nothing right there, Ed.
Good hand.
Can't do that with 250.
And one of the other things that I've noticed, that the way that you can play it, Ed's going to call with 7-10 of hearts there on the flop. He has 4 outs, obviously. Or excuse me, he's got 4 outs.
He's drawn to the gut shot.
He's
You're
drawn
right.
in the gut shot. He doesn't even know if he hits the gut shot with a diamond, if it's
He
good.
might even have 3 outs, exactly.
But to turn it around, if you're going to call, why not also represent diamonds? So that if you catch your gut shot, you're good. Or if you catch a diamond, you bet the guy off of the hand.
Sure.
But in that case, he's just, you know. I mean, if he puts a big bet there against Scott on the turn, I don't know if he can call with ace-10.
Well, Ed's got a couple of cowboys now. Has anybody got anything to go with?
Well, ace-5, Scott is raised to 80.
Make it 180.
180.
And Ed is going to re-raise to 180 with kings. Wow, Alan's going to call with 8-10 of
10-8, I'm
spades. And
surprised.
Hollywood Rust, ace-5.
That's 2 out
Boy.
of character calls.
Yeah, ace-5 against.
But they're figuring.
And there's the ace.
Uh-huh.
Ace-9-10. So everyone, well, Alan got a piece of it as well.
Got 280.
And Ed's going to bet 280, and again, he's steaming off. Let's see what Russ does. And this is the problem with ace-5. You really don't know where
You
you're
don't
at,
know
do
where
you?
you are at all.
Yeah. That's why I'm really surprised to see that Russ called that hand to a raise in the field.
If he makes this call, he better be ready to commit the rest of his chips. And I don't see how he can do that, but he just did.
I mean, if Ed put them all in on the turn, you mean?
He's very subject to make a play with it, sure. He's got to represent a hand. If he bet into an ace with 2 kings the first time, now you're going to get...
You know what? Well, now, like I said, I know Ed pretty well, and he may be steaming here, so...
That's quite possible.
He might make him... I can't believe
I don't believe that call
Yeah,
either.
you know, Alan, he just amazes me sometimes. Some nights he plays well, and other nights it's just doesn't make any sense. And look at this. Now Russ has made aces up. He hit the 5 on the turn. And I was going to say, if both players called there, I don't think Ed fires in again on the turn, and he didn't. And look at this. Russ is going to put him to the test. He bets 800. And boy, can Ed get away
What's your
from
call
aces
on this?
to
Can he
kings?
get away from 2 kings with an ace out there?
He's steaming.
He
Remember,
sure
Roger,
should be
he's really
able to.
steaming. Yeah.
He's-
Oh,
yeah,
boy. Yeah. As you can see, it just kind of goes
In the
downhill.
2-hole. Yeah.
Yep.
He's definitely got a
The
nosebleed
river's a
right
6. And I'd push hard if I was Russ. Oh, Russ checked the river? Oh, come on. How do you check the river?
now. He was happy with what he won, I guess. I don't know how he did.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't know what hand he was afraid of in
How
that
do you
situation.
check the river there? He could have made another $1,000 off of Ed there.
Sure.
Put him to the... He just called 800 with pocket
He's
kings on the
explaining it
turn.
right now.
Blinds up, please.
I think he said he was scared of Allen behind him. That's what it was. I actually forgot that Allen
that
had
was
made.
gone,
Yeah,
wow.
Allen had made. No, Allen didn't make the call on the turn, though, did he?
No, he didn't. He was
No.
gone.
Maybe. Oh, he thinks that Allen was behind him in the hand, so that's like $1,000 mistake right
It
there.
sure was.
He thought Allen was still in the hand. Big mistake
Wow.
there by Russ at the end.
Better polish up those sunglasses, Hollywood.
Yeah.
$80 we called, and I added 180. I made it 180.
Just like that, when we thought the night was slowing down, we've seen a couple of interesting hands.
Sure have.
Yeah.
He was already in there. Yeah,
That's a big mistake by Russ. I mean, you talk about trying to win or lose, grind it out. I mean, $500 to $1,000 in a missed value bet there on the river. Ace 10-7 here on the flop.
Our boy Ben has picked up a gut shot.
Check.
And the river's a 4.
That's it, play showdown.
60.
Dan, he should take this. With as little as he's played, he should take this.
He has a 5. And he actually has the... Oh,
Yeah.
Allen has the best hand, and Allen mucks. Wow. I think that Dan's bet here indicates that he doesn't think he has the best hand.
What is our boy thinking now?
No, he's
That's
gonna get
it.
rid of it.
That's it.
I really think that by Dan betting the river there, he doesn't think he can check and win it in a showdown, and he got Allen off the best hand there.
Sure
with that
did.
bet. It's a nice little
Okay,
bet.
Dan, let's see if you can parlay this one.
This is going to be the last hand of the night. Of course, we'll be back next week. Friar Tuckman will be back from Hawaii.
Well, Corporation Mike turned out to be a phantom, as you predicted.
Yeah, that's normal.
Bart, I
I
guess
just
you
know
know
the show
it.
too much.
You know this.
Yeah. Limp, limp, limp. Ben has got a king jack of diamonds on the button. He chooses to limp.
130 total.
And now Scott's going to try to pick up the limpers. He's going to make it 130 to go.
The
King,
suited
queen,
sucker
suited.
hands against the King Jack. This will be interesting. I'd like to see these two lock it up.
I don't think Ben, it looks like Ben's too advanced to get involved here, though. He is in position.
Yeah, he's.
Yeah, there you go. And that's going to do it for us tonight. So, Roger Rudd, it was a great pleasure for
It was
you to
my
come in
pleasure.
and to commentate, and we hope you have you again in here sometime,
We
even
sure
though some
will.
of the people were insulting your clothing. But hey, whatever.
Well, I'll tell you what. I have a new clothing line coming out. Keep those cards and letters coming, folks. We can help you out. We'll hook you all up.
So please join us tomorrow for another exciting week of Live at the Bike, and check out the Poker Channel. And look for us towards the end of this month to come on there for the LA poker scene. So everyone here in the booth, and for Roger Rudd, I'm Bart Hanson. Good night, everybody, from Live at the Bike.
It's here. It's big. And it's closer than you think. It's not a tournament. It's what you don't see on TV. The cash is real. The stakes are high. They bet big. They win big. They lose big. High stakes live action poker. Live at the Bike. Watch it live on the web or play it if you dare at the Bicycle Casino right here in Los Angeles.